together because of pressure on Yahoo shows, but a nice day for the Dow indeed. Now let's go to the Situation Room, and Wolf Blitzer live from Blacksburg, Virginia.
Thanks very much, Susan. And we have some dramatic new pictures of the Virginia Tech massacre that are just into CNN. Also happening this hour, new and unsettling accounts about the Virginia Tech gunman's psychological problems years before he opened fire here on this campus. We're also standing by for another briefing at the university. Plus, a time for prayer amid the pain. The Reverend Franklin Graham is here on campus to help in the quest for healing. I'll be speaking with him this hour. And a Virginia Tech hero and Holocaust survivor, praised today by President Bush and now laid to rest. We're covering the victims' unforgettable stories and unforgettable lives. I'm Wolf Blitzer on the campus of Virginia Tech, and you're in the Situation Room. We're learning more now about the man blamed for America's deadliest shooting spree. The more it becomes clear how deeply troubled he was and how methodically he planned his rampage, the more we get to understand this man to a certain degree. We're also getting new details this hour. CNN has learned that Cho Sung-Hui was picked up with a Walther P-22 semi-automatic pistol from a pawnbroker near campus on February 9th. More than 2 months before the Virginia Tech massacre. Police disclosed today that Cho had been taken to a mental health facility back in 2005. An acquaintance feared he was suicidal after being accused of stalking 2 female students here on this sprawling campus. Frightening incident at Virginia Tech earlier today. Police officers carrying rifles, wearing flak jackets, responded to what turned out to be an unfounded threat near the classroom building where most of the carnage was carried out Monday morning. Officials aren't saying much about what happened. One state police officer says there was some kind of threat against Virginia Tech's president, but a university spokeswoman is denying it was a bomb threat. Let's get some of that new amateur video. We're just getting into CNN. Video that was made by 2 Swedish exchange students who were on the campus Monday morning as they began to roll their cameras. Here you see, and Brian Todd, our reporter who's been here covering the story with me, you see police officers, a SWAT team running into that building, Brian, as this horrific story began to unfold. This is part at the, this was shot at the engineering building where most of those students were killed, and faculty members, administrators, 30 in all. They responded once those shots were fired. And Brian, as you know, this was about 2 hours and 15 minutes after the initial killing of 2 students at a dormitory not all that far away from this building.
That's right, Wolf. This building that this video was shot at is about 11 minutes by walking from the incident where the first incident took place. That's the Norris Hall building, and as you recall from Monday, that's also the same building that was captured on that cell phone video by the other student with the dramatic sounds of the gunshots. This is again, you know, more dramatic images from Norris Hall on that day. A little jagged, but the photographers do seem to get their bearings here a little bit.
All right, I want to just get our viewers ready for what they're about to see. At some point, you're going to see inside a classroom, you're going to see students with phones. There's one student, he clearly does not know what exactly is going on, has no clue at that particular point, but unfortunately within minutes, everyone will know the horrific nature of what has occurred on this campus and the fallout, the drama, the tension still continuing on this day, 48 hours plus after the brutal killings took place, the worst shooting spree in U.S. history. Once again, this is video that was shot by 2 Swedish students who happened to be on this campus Monday morning watching this situation unfold. You see police officers there, Brian, begin to wave students to get away from this scene. Students are just watching from windows right now.
And this is the building, Wolf, where some students who were inside the Norris Hall building actually jumped out of windows to get out. None of this captured on this tape, at least so far, but this is really where just some of the most dramatic images we've seen from this story have taken place. This Norris Hall, of course, the scene of the deaths of 30 people.
And I want to remind our viewers, this is amateur video taken by 2 students. We're going to be speaking with them later this hour here in the Situation Room. They're going to describe their eyewitness account of what happened, but clearly it shows in greater detail than we've seen so far some of the events that were going on as the shots were being fired, as we were learning of what was going on, and we see the arrival of these teams coming in and getting ready for what was going on. Brian, as you see this video right now, you were over there at that hall, the engineering building, and it's quite a complex.
It really is. It's an old Gothic stone building, as most of the buildings here are. One of the students who I walked around that building with yesterday told me that, you know, inside those classrooms where the shootings took place, there's really nowhere to go except out the windows. If the shooter came in through the doorway of any of those rooms, there was just no exit except out those windows, hence why some of the students jumped out. Again, none of that captured on this tape, at least so far. You see people running from the building there, in addition to the students who were just kind of barricaded inside that building next door. But yeah, it's not the biggest classroom building on this campus, but it is, you know, it's one of the more impressive looking.
And there you see the students inside. They're on the cell phones. They're clearly trapped inside right there as they watch and try to figure out what's going on themselves. And clearly you see police officers running to the scene trying to deal with an unfolding situation. At that point, I don't think they necessarily had a clue at the extent of the horrific killings that were going on inside those classrooms.
And of course, it was the same time frame that the other student, Mr. Albar-Goody, took the cell phone video where you heard the gunshots. And as you remember, Wolf, there were multiple gunshots going on at that time. You can assume, of course, that during this same time period where this video is being shot, that's what was going on the other side of the building where he took that video. But as you see these police running back and forth, clearly they're dealing with a confusing scene, possibly hearing those multiple gunshots going off. So it's clearly a scene of confusion there.
You know, I want to get back to this video and speak to those two Swedish students. They're standing by, Brian, but as we await their arrival here at Virginia Tech, where we're located on the campus, you've been doing some digging into what's been going on this day. I want you to update our viewers on some of the dramatic developments that have occurred so far today, what we've learned. And as I say that, I want to remind our viewers, we're standing by for a live news conference here at Virginia Tech. We're expecting to get more details from university officials as well as from police investigators who are looking into this. We'll get back to the video, the new amateur video we're getting, and we'll speak to those Swedish students who shot this video. But update our viewers now, Brian, on what has happened on this day.
Well, it was another dramatic day, Wolf, as every day seems to be here. And today what we learned are startling new details about Jo Seung-Hwi's psychological and legal troubles. A dark picture of a mass murderer that includes stalking and threats of suicide. Police say Monday's killing spree was not their first encounter with Jo Seung-Hwi. November 2005, a female student calls police to complain about annoying phone calls and run-ins with Jo.
The student declined to press charges and referred to Cho's contact with her as annoying.
No charges are filed. That is just the beginning.
In December of 2005, Cho instant messaged a second female student. Again, no threat was made against that student. However, she made a complaint to the Virginia Tech Police Department and asked that Cho have no further contact with her.
Jo's roommates say he had a history of troubling behavior with female students, including repeated unwanted text messaging and phone calls, that the warning signs were there.
All the incidents with the girls, I think, are the big warning signs. Like, none of them ever came to, like, charges or anything, because I'm sure those girls weren't trying to cause trouble, but if any of them had, it may have stopped things then. But those are definite warning signs of someone that had some social problems.
The second time police were called, Jo made a threat his roommates took seriously.
Sung became upset about that, and he had told me that he might as well kill himself. And so I told the cops that, and they took him away to the counseling center for a night or two.
Virginia Tech police say out of concern for Jo's own safety, he was sent to counseling.
Based on that interaction with the counselor, a temporary detention order was obtained and Cho was taken to a mental health facility.
He was released just a few days later. Police say they never ran into Jo again until they found him dead in Norris Hall, surrounded by the bodies of fellow students. Despite the warning signs of a disturbed young man, police say there was nothing more they could do.
It is very difficult to predict when what someone perceives as stalking is stalking, and then how it might translate into violence later. In general, that's a very difficult thing to predict. Clearly, if anyone had any warning about a violent incident, people would have stepped in and acted.
All right, that was Brian Todd. He's reporting. We're joined here on the campus of Virginia Tech. Our Brianna Keeler is here with me. Also, two Swedish students who are undergraduates here at Virginia Tech, Martin Arvebro and Carl Nordin. These are the two students, Brianna, who actually shot this amateur video that we've been watching. We're going to play it for our viewers. They're going to tell us what we're seeing. But first, set the scene for us, Brianna. Tell us where these guys were, what they were doing, and how they came upon this extraordinary video that we're about to see.
Well, it's kind of a coincidence that Martin and Carl were actually even on the Virginia Tech campus. They were visiting for a one-week exchange from Blekinge Institute of Technology in Sweden, and they were actually supposed to be here last week. Turns out they ended up here this week. So they were wandering around campus when this happened, and they went into McBride Hall, which was right next to Norris Hall, and that's when they started noticing this commotion.
All right, I want to, Martin, start with you. What are we seeing right now? Because you two guys shot this video.
At the moment, we just saw the building opposite where we witnessed what we think is a teacher coming out with a gunshot in his arm. So at that point, we actually thought that they were trapped in that building.
And that's Norris. That's the engineering building that you were shooting where 30 people were killed, right?
That's one next to it.
This was the opposite building,
yeah.
which I'm not sure. The red building opposite Norris is over there where they're running towards.
They're running towards that,
Yeah.
but they were running from Norris.
Yes.
That's where most of the shootings occurred.
That's
All right,
correct.
so tell us what we're seeing now.
Well, we're seeing more and more police and other people, obviously civilian police, running up towards Norris where apparently the things are happening.
We had no idea as to what was going on at this point.
What did you think, Carl, when you saw the scurrying, the people running back and forth? What went through your mind?
We thought it was an exercise. We heard no gunshots.
A training exercise.
A training exercise, yes.
And so what made you and Martin decide to go ahead and roll your video, your camera?
Well, because it was so. The police came and they were really, really upset, and they screamed, "Get back, get back!" And they pushed us back into the building. And then, well, it was so very dramatic. So we had the film cameras there and thought, well, let's just shoot it.
And then what happened? Walk us through this process, Martin. What we're seeing now.
What we're seeing now is the ambulance made itself way up to the Norris building. At this point, there were actually students telling us to get out of McBride building, but for some reason, call it stupid, my mom would. I just stayed around because I knew there was a stretcher going in, so I just wanted to see what would come out. So momentarily, we will be seeing a stretcher of a girl coming out, which from what I can see at the point, had blood stains on her knees.
And she was taken to this ambulance that we see there?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think she's rolled out at the moment
And
here.
she was coming out of Norris, the engineering building.
Exactly.
Is that her?
That is her, yeah.
And she's lifting her head, so right there. So that was my indicator that she was she was still alive.
Have you subsequently learned who that person was?
No.
So you don't know who that was, but she's being rolled into this ambulance, and she's going to be taken to a hospital where hopefully she's eventually going to be just fine. But did you see more of this kind of situation unfold? More wounded students being brought out of that Norris Engineering building?
No students, but we saw a professor being brought out from the building opposite us.
That's Norris. You were across the street.
Exactly, yeah, okay, that's right.
And do you know who the professor was?
No, we do not know.
But we will see that on this video?
Yeah, you should be if it was edited in. It surely was.
How long were you rolling? How much tape did you actually go forward with?
I had, well, we had two cameras, one mini DV cam and a digital cam with video function, so I was kind of changing in between as battery was kind of wearing out. But I think we have about 50 minutes on the mini DV and then a couple of smaller files on the other camera.
Brianna, you've been there. You spent a lot of time at Norris. You can't get in now. It's closed off because it's under investigation. But that building across the street is very, very nearby.
That's right, and what's interesting is they were just sort of wandering around campus and deciding which building to go into, and they decided to go into McBride, you guys told me, because it seemed very interesting, the architecture, right? And so, in a way, you feel as if you could have headed right into Norris Hall instead of McBride Hall.
Oh yeah, we were completely going on random. Yeah.
And you had no real need to go into the McBride. You had no need to go into Norris, but you were just walking around the campus. How long had both of you been here on campus? When did you arrive at Virginia Tech?
Sunday evening.
Sunday evening? You just got here Sunday night?
This is the first thing that happened.
The first full day that you're on the campus, you see this horrific tragedy unfold, and you had presence of mind, both of you, to get your cameras out and to roll tape. What do you think? What was your impression, Martin, as you watched all of this?
I mean, initially it just seemed so surreal. It seemed like something you've seen, through American television all these years back in Sweden. So it still seemed surreal, because I think since we were right in the middle of it, we still haven't been able to digest it properly, since the Swedish media has obviously been all over us.
The Swedish media has been obsessed with this story. I got an email earlier today, coincidentally, from an anchor woman in Sweden who was watching our coverage here in the Situation Room on CNN International, and she said they're obsessed in Sweden about this story because there have been in recent years some random shootings in Sweden, people just going out and killing some other people. So this is a problem in Sweden as well. And you're familiar with some of those highly publicized incidents in Sweden, right?
Frankly, no. It's
a former prime minister.
Yes, yeah. Of course.
Yes. How could you forget?
Was a catastrophe.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought you meant school.
No, not in schools, but there have been some random shootings with deranged individuals, yes. And so people in Sweden are looking at this right now and trying to understand what's going on in the United States.
Yeah, they understand the tragedy of it. Yes.
Yeah. So it's that's why they're watching it as closely in Sweden as they are right now. Well, I want to thank both of you for sharing with us this videotape, getting a little different perspective on what we saw. We're going to continue to go through the videotape and make sure our viewers get a better understanding, because this is a story that's clearly dominated the thinking here in the United States as well. Is there any other final points the two of you want to make?
I would like to stress that the 4 Virginia Tech students that we are exchanging with, who are in Sweden right now, I mean, our concern, of course, is with them, because they are so far away and their friends are among and maybe among the victims. So, I mean, it's got to be terrible for them too, not knowing, not being here.
And Carl?
Yeah, so thoughts go to them, yeah.
One final question to both of you. Why Virginia Tech? How did you land up here on Sunday night and witness what was going on Monday morning? First to you, Martin.
I mean, the main reason, we were supposed to leave during Easter, but I went to Stockholm then, and we decided to postpone it until this week, so just random.
Sheer coincidence.
Somebody recommended Virginia Tech and you're here?
Yes, it's a good university.
It's a great university, and you should be happy you're here. You're going to stay? You're going to leave? What are your plans?
We're here for a week, and then we're going back to Sweden again.
So you're not going to cut short your stay?
No.
No. Neither one of you. Martin Arvebro, Carl Nordin, both from Sweden. I'm going to have Brianna stand by because she's got some new information she's working on as well. We're standing by for a live news conference here on the campus of Virginia Tech. They expect to provide more details on the investigation, more of what we're knowing. They're dealing with tragedy, as all of us know. Coming up, I'll speak with a young man whose sister was wounded in Monday's shootings. Plus, Virginia's governor visits with those who were shot but survived. We're going to go live to the hospital here near this campus to find out the condition of some of the patients who are fighting to survive. And later, he's a legend here on the campus. I'll speak with Frank Beamer. He's the head coach of the school's extremely popular football team. He's been counseling a lot of young kids here. We're live on the campus of Virginia Tech, and you're in the Situation.
Larry King tonight. The latest disturbing details on the Virginia Tech killer with his sweet mate, plus victims' families and survivors. Larry King, tonight 9 Eastern, only on CNN.
The world's finest handmade rugs come from collections like Lapchi, Zolanvari, and Odegaard. Each piece represents the finest level of hand-woven artistry. In Portland, you can find these treasures at Madison Millinger. Stunning rugs you can't see anywhere else in the Northwest. Along with the help of rug expert Christiana Millinger and interior designer Todd Jens. Madison Millinger, Portland's own world-class rug gallery at 11th and Gleason in the Pearl.
Comcast high-speed internet is fast no matter where you are. But with DSL, the farther you are from the hub or central office,
the slower your connection.
Right. So I brought our computer way out to the backyard.
Is it getting slower?
No, it's no slower than usual.
Go left. Push it.
You come push it. You push it real good.
Connect fast from anywhere with Comcast high-speed internet. It's Comcasting.
Massacre at Virginia Tech, CNN, Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
Do you know your credit score? Do you know what's in your credit report? You can find out for free right now at freecreditreport.com.
Knowing my credit score helped me save money on my home loan.
Now we can monitor all 3 of our national credit reports every day.
It helps us save money and check for potential identity theft.
Just a few clicks, and I get my credit report and credit score free.
Log on now to freecreditreport.com.
Offer applies with the Roman Triple Advantage.
It fuels our lives and creates the products we depend on. It powers our workforce. It brings us home and gives us warmth. It lets us travel the earth and reach for the sky. Vital for life, too precious to waste. Oil and natural gas. Together, let's use it wisely. Learn more at energytomorrow.org.
If you're looking to refinance, cash out equity, or purchase a new home, you can count on Dytech to provide a great rate and outstanding personal service and get your conditional loan approval in minutes. Call 1-800-71-FIXED.
CNN equals politics in the Situation Room. #1 in politics. #1 across America. #1 from 4 to 6 p.m. Watched more than Fox, more than MSNBC. CNN equals politics, and politics equals the Situation Room.
Just getting some more very disturbing information coming in on the shooter, Jo Seung-Hui. Brian Todd is joining us on the phone to update us on this disturbing information that's just coming into the Situation Room. Brian, what are we learning?
Wolf, we've learned from the court at the district court here has told CNN that a court order from 2005 states that the alleged shooter in this case, Jo Seung-Hui, was declared mentally ill by the Virginia Special Justice and was also called, quote, an imminent danger to others. That is, again, according to the clerk at the district court here. This order was filed by a special justice in Virginia. Again, that in 2005, the alleged shooter, Jo Seung-Hui, was declared mentally ill by the Virginia Special Justice and an imminent danger to others. Wolf, we're getting more information from these documents as we speak, and we hope to bring more to you later.
In 2005, he was declared by a court, a special justice of the Commonwealth of Virginia here, as, quote, an imminent danger to others. Yet some 2 years later, he was still at large here on the campus, and as we now know, caused this horrific massacre that unfolded. More questions that are certainly going to be asked at this news conference that's coming up later this hour. We're standing by for that. Questions, we'll see if the investigators, authorities on the campus, the police, have answers to why he was allowed to remain at large when he was declared by the court here in Virginia, quote, an imminent danger to others. A lot of questions are going to be asked on this, and it's going to be a subject of quite a controversy. We're watching it unfold. We'll bring you that news conference live as it happens here on the campus of Virginia Tech. Let's get to a gripping story now. It's the story of Caitlin Carney, a student wounded in the Virginia Tech attack Monday morning. She lost a finger, but could have lost her life. Listen to this. When the shooting started, she dove under her desk and covered her head with her hands. A bullet smashed through her desk. The desk slowed down the bullet. The bullet lodged, though, in her left ring finger, grazed her head. Oddly enough, her father, a former federal marshal, was also once wounded in the head and hand. Doctors later removed Caitlin's injured finger. Her brother, Danny, hopes to be reunited with Caitlin this weekend when she's supposed to walk down the aisle as their sister's maid of honor. Danny Kearney is joining us on the phone right now. Danny, thanks very much for joining us. Your sister is a very, very lucky young lady. You're joining us now from Boston. I understand you spoke with her earlier. Tell us about that conversation.
Yes, Wolf, I did. I spoke with her about an hour ago. She's in good spirits. She's feeling well. Still in a lot of pain. Her hand is pretty beat up, but she's doing well. She's going to start walking soon, and she's in good spirits.
And she's going to make the wedding this weekend?
Absolutely, yeah. She's the maid of honor, so she better be there.
She'll be there. Well, thank God. Thank God she's okay under the circumstances. She's very, very lucky. Did she give you any specific details of the ordeal she went through Monday morning, what she was doing, precisely where she was?
Absolutely, she did. I just found out earlier today because I didn't want to press her any earlier in the week for details, but she volunteered some details to me today. I guess she was sitting in the middle of the classroom all the way against the wall, the same wall that the gunman came in through. He immediately started firing. He shot the professor. He shot the students in the first row of seating, and then he just moved back row by row. And my sister Katie said that, you know, the kids sitting in the front of the classroom, unfortunately, were the ones that were killed. The kids in the middle were the ones that were injured pretty badly, and then the kids in the back were able to escape injury-free.
And she was an eyewitness to this kind of horror, and you say she's doing okay right now.
She is, yeah. She's putting on a strong face. She's a real tough girl, and she seems to be doing all right. My parents are with her right now, and she's got a lot of friends who are visiting her. So she's taking it a minute at a time, but she's doing well.
Did she have a chance to describe to you the shooter?
She just said that he was a tall Asian guy. Other than that, you know, she had never seen him. She didn't recognize him from campus. She said that he was just very, very methodical, just shot after shot, just, you know, loading back up, and you know, just didn't relent.
And by almost all of the other accounts, and I assume her account as well, he really didn't utter a word as he was just methodically killing people. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Didn't say anything.
What about the professor? Do you know anything about the professor who was shot and killed in her class?
I do know that he was a favorite professor of hers. She was crazy about him. He's a great guy, a 35-year-old man as far as I know. And I don't know anything about him personally, but I do know that he was a great instructor, and she liked him a lot, and she was really upset at his passing.
What was the class she was in? What was she studying?
It was German class.
So that was the professor known as Jamie. He was a younger man who, you're absolutely right, because I've spoken to several students who have studied with him, and he was just a delight, and he was obviously one of the first ones killed in that German class. So painful, so horrific, so inexplicable, so random, if you will, and yet he died for no reason whatsoever. Danny, I want to thank you very much for sharing your story with us. Please tell your parents, we're really happy that Caitlin not only survived, but she's going to be at this wedding, the maid of honor of her sister this weekend. Good luck to her. Good luck to all of the family as you go forward. It's a remarkable, remarkable story. Is there anything else you want to share with our viewers before I let you go, Danny?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I'm incredibly impressed with the resiliency and the attitude of the Virginia Tech community from what I've seen and from what I've heard from my parents. It's incredible how they've banded together, and I couldn't be more proud, and all of my condolences go out to the victims and their families.
And Caitlin, is she going to come back to school here, or is she going to transfer?
That remains to be seen. I don't know. She may come back. She may not. I know she's going to take at least a week or so off and compose herself. But she's a tough girl, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her right back there.
All right, Danny, thanks very much. Danny Kearney joining us from Boston. His sister Caitlin was injured, but she's all right. She's going to be at her sister's wedding this weekend in Boston. We have some more pictures of students and teachers whose promising lives were snuffed out on this campus 2 days ago. Ryan Clark of Georgia and Emily Hilscher of Virginia are the students who were killed first in that dormitory. The rest died in that classroom building. Among them, Brian Bloom, a student, went to high school in Kentucky. Austin Cloyd's family moved to Blacksburg a couple of years ago. He was an international studies student. Jocelyn Couture Nowak, a French instructor. Daniel Alejandro Perez Cueva of Virginia. Kevin Granada, a professor of engineering. And Caitlin Hammerin, a student from New York. Some of the faces of this tragedy. We're standing by for this live news conference here on the campus of Virginia Tech. That's supposed to start very soon. We expect more details, lots of questions being asked about the shooter in this particular case. Also some chilling words from one of the professors who taught the Virginia Tech shooter.
And this was a mean guy, and I think he tried to intimidate everybody, and I don't think it was personal to me. Virginia Tech.
From Nikki Giovanni, a Nobel laureate and professor who wanted Cho Sung-hee out of her class. Plus, dealing with overwhelming loss. I'll speak with the parents of some of the students who were killed in Monday's tragedy. They want to speak out. We will hear their remarkable stories, the stories of their kids as well. Stay with us. This is a special edition of The Situation.
If only getting to some stores wasn't such a hassle. Fortunately, Walgreens has convenient parking at thousands of locations, many that never close, so you're in and out in no time.
Now through April 30th, all it takes is your signature. During the Mercury Signature event, there's no cash due at signing on any 07 Mercury. Like the Mercury Milan, a Consumer's Digest Best Buy. That zero first month's payment, zero down, and zero cash due at signing on Mercury Milan for $256 a month. Ends April 30th at your Lincoln Mercury dealer.
When sinus pressure from a cold or allergies start to build, all you want is relief. Relief from sinus pressure, from feeling so stuffed up, so congested. You might just blow. That's why there's Sudafed PE. The medicine in Sudafed PE is clinically shown to relieve nasal congestion in minutes. Sudafed PE. Get your head back where it belongs. And for longer-lasting relief, ask your pharmacist for Sudafed 12-hour or 24-hour. They're behind the counter.
The news conference on the campus here at Virginia Tech is just starting right now. We expect to get some more information on this investigation, on the shooter, Cho Sung-hee. Let's go there right now and listen to preliminary remarks.
In the week preceding commencement, I don't have that exact date, but it'll be the Sunday before May 11th. Finally, there is the issue of how we are going to accommodate at least a week of lost classes. Each college is going to determine at their level how they best do that, whether they skip final exams or whether they decide to truncate the course sessions or whatever that might be. Okay. Finally, again, a relatively minor thing, but many people are parking where the buses are supposed to park around the drill field. We'd ask that you respect that. We'll do our very best to try to help you park your vehicles. I now want to address a solemn issue. Many of you already know the names of the deceased. I have several names here that I want to read. I will have a list handed out for you at the conclusion of the conference. I did speak to the families, some of the families, about an hour and a half ago. Several of them said to me that they don't want to be contacted. Obviously, I don't know who they are. You don't know who they are. You all have been through this before. I know that you understand the trauma, the hell that they're going through right now. And so I know that you'll respect their wishes if they say to you that they don't want to be contacted after you make that call. In that respect, we've also assigned a person from the Office of Student Affairs as a liaison to each of those families to ensure they're getting all the support that they need from the university, and many have different kinds of support. I'm going to read the names to you in alphabetical order, last names first. Al-Madin Ross Abdallah. His hometown is Saugus, Massachusetts. He was a sophomore in university studies. He's been a student since the fall of 2005. Gwaltney Matthew Gregory, hometown in Chesterfield, Virginia. He was a master's student in environmental engineering, and he's been a graduate student since the fall of 2005. Hilscher Emily Jane. Her hometown was in Woodville, Virginia, and she was a freshman in animal and poultry sciences. She was a student since the fall of 2006. Laporte Matthew Joseph. His hometown was in Dumont, New Jersey. He was a sophomore in university studies and a student since the fall of 2005. Lee Henry J. He's from Roanoke, Virginia, and he was a sophomore in computer engineering, and he was a student since the fall of 2006. McCain Lauren Ashley. Her hometown was in Hampton, Virginia. She was a freshman in international studies. She was a student since the fall of 2006. Panchal Minal Hiralal. His hometown was Mumbai, India, and he was a master's student in architecture. And he was a student since the fall of 2006. Shalan Walid Mohammed. His hometown is Blacksburg, Virginia, but he was originally from Egypt. PhD student in civil engineering, a student since the fall of 2006. One confirmation on a faculty member, Librescu Liviu, who was a professor in engineering science and mechanics. His residence was in Blacksburg, Virginia. He joined Virginia Tech in September 1st, 1985, and many of you saw a story on his funeral arrangements that were taking place in New York. Again, we had the medical examiner here yesterday explaining the delay and why this takes so long. We also had to explain to the families. They're frustrated, as you can obviously imagine how frustrated they might be because they can't come in contact with their loved ones. But the medical examiner, as she said, has got to have scientifically validated proof. This list is going to be available to you, and we'll continue to do this as soon as we get these available. I will tell you that I have with me several people to speak to you about the process of student affairs, counseling students like we had this morning. Many of you had questions. I wanted to pick up on that again. However, we're not going to do that. We're not going to take questions because we have some extremely troubling news, and the Superintendent of State Police, Steve Flaherty, is going to share with you a piece of new information some of you might have seen it breaking on the air just a few minutes ago.
Thank you, Larry. As Larry's described, we do have some significant news to share with you. Earlier today, NBC News in New York received correspondence that we believe to have been from Cho Sung-Hui. The gunman is responsible for the fatal shootings in Norris Hall. The correspondence included multiple photographs, video, and writings. Upon receipt of this correspondence, NBC News immediately notified authorities. And I certainly want to commend NBC News for what they've done, the way that they've secured this information, the way they've handled it with dignity. We certainly appreciate that. And I publicly thank NBC News President Steve Kappas that I've personally spoken with. Thank him for working with us. The originals were turned over to the FBI and are in the process of transporting those back. We've been working with the FBI, the ATF, Virginia Tech Police Department since discovering that this new evidence existed. This may be a very new critical component of this investigation. We're in the process right now of attempting to analyze and evaluate its worth. So thank you for your time.
I'm going to go ahead and finish that. There were writings and images. There were writings and images. I know.
Our job is not to relay the chief's messages. Our job is to ask questions.
My job is to try to answer them.
How did they receive them? Did he say how they received them?
No, he didn't. NBC.
Are they, have any of the
the students that were killed?
I don't know that. NBC News is going to be reporting on it tonight.
So is this an NBC story at this point? So the university is working with NBC to cover this story?
It isn't the story as much as it is the investigation. So NBC News has turned over information to the police department, the state superintendent.
When did they receive the information for the clearance?
Okay, so I can't get into that. The chief has told, the superintendent has told you what he knows. What I want to tell you is, I want to answer the questions. I had 5 people lined up to talk to you about some of the issues that you had this morning. They want to go address this latest breaking news that just came in within the last several hours. I'm going to have the Vice President for Student Affairs. I'm going to have the Provost, the Chief Academic Officer of the university with us tomorrow. I'm going to have the head of Cook Counseling Center here again tomorrow. I'm going to have the head of the Judicial Review System tomorrow, so we can talk about some of the issues that you wanted to address here today.
Sir, Virginia Special Justice has said that he ruled this man was mentally ill and declared that he was in danger to others. Did you know that? And if you did know that, why would you allow to stay on campus?
No, that's total news to me. So.
So they're making the copies right now of the list of names for you. It'll also be posted on the website. Someone had asked when the correspondence came in. It was earlier today.
But Larry, shouldn't the university have known that though? Why is that news?
You're not commenting on to how NBC received it at this point, all
But
right?
the news about him being declared a danger, shouldn't the university have known that?
How could you not?
All right, there you have it. That's a major development that we've just learned about, a major development unfolding right now. The authorities now saying that NBC News received a package of information from the shooter only days ago, before the shooting, obviously, maybe a critical component of the investigation. According to what we just heard from the police here on the campus of Virginia Tech, they're evaluating all of this right now. Jo Seung-Hui apparently sent this package, images and other information, to NBC News to give them the what is undisclosed at this point. But NBC made the decision to make it available to authorities, to law enforcement. The FBI has the originals right now. They're reviewing it. They're going through it. And we may learn in the process of what was behind this horrific incident Monday morning here on the campus of Virginia Tech. Brian Todd has been investigating. He's been looking into all of this. Update our viewers, Brian, who may just be tuning in right now, on what we know in this latest. There's been a series of twists and turns that have unfolded in the past hour alone.
Literally, Wolf, in the past probably 15 or 20 minutes, first we learned that according to documents from a Virginia special judge in the U.S. in a district court here, in 2005, the alleged shooter, Jo Seung-Hui, was declared by a special judge to be mentally ill and presenting an imminent danger to himself and others. I'm going to read to you what it says on this line that is checked on this court order, describing Jo Seung-Hui, that he is mentally ill and in need of hospitalization and presents an imminent danger to self or others as a result of mental illness, or is so seriously mental ill as to be substantially unable to care for self and is incapable of volunteering or unwilling to volunteer for treatment. That is according to a document from district court here. Then just a few minutes later, we received word just at that news conference that this suspect, Jo Seung-Hui, mailed correspondence to NBC News shortly before the Norris Hall shootings. The correspondence, we were told in that news conference, contains multiple photos, other images, and writings. The police officials who briefed us on that said that the NBC News officials immediately contacted authorities, and the originals have been turned over to the FBI, Wolf. So quite a few very startling developments just in the last half hour.
Two very startling developments, and we're hoping to speak to that special justice later this hour and get his account of what happened, the whole process on why he was declared mentally ill, Jo Seung-Hui, and why he was described as potentially being of danger, imminent danger, to not only to individuals around him, but to himself as well. And then this other information sort of underscoring what we've suspected for some time, that this was a well-thought-out move by Jo Seung-Hui to go forward with these methodical killings of students and faculty and others here on the campus of Virginia Tech, where he himself, a 23-year-old, was an English major, and all sorts of alarm bells now we know had been raised in the 2 or 3 years earlier about his mental capacity, about who he was, how much of a danger he was, and it sends a chill down your spine to hear that a special justice of the Virginia courts had declared him to be a threat to others, including, and a threat to himself as well. In fact, Paul Barnett is that special justice. He's joining us on the phone. Justice Barnett, thanks very much. First of all, tell us about the work that you do for the judicial system here in Virginia.
Well, I want to preface everything. I am not going to talk about any specific case, any specific person, or any specific action that I've done. That's totally improper, and I'm not going to do that. I'm a special justice appointed by the circuit judges in my judicial circuit to hold commitment hearings and to issue certain orders related to mental retardation and medical treatments. And in those particular cases, I have equivalent powers to a general district court judge in Virginia.
All right, so we won't talk about any specific case, including the case of Cho, because you clearly don't want to discuss those cases. But let's talk about the process. Why would someone come before you? What kind of evidence, what would be needed for you to hear a case?
The process begins with a petition by any person that thinks that another person is mentally ill, and as a result of that mental illness is an imminent or an immediate danger to themselves, as in suicidal, or an imminent danger to somebody else, or that they are substantially unable to care for themselves. Upon that petition, the person, if they're not already in a place where they can be seen, can be brought in on an emergency custody order, which would allow 4 hours for a mental health certified person to see them and to assess their mental situation and dangerousness. And if that evaluation resulted in an opinion that something needed to be done, they can contact our magistrate. And our magistrate is the quasi-judicial officer that issues criminal and other types of warrants and arrest orders. And the magistrate, upon the petition and that advice from the mental health professional, can issue a temporary detention order. The temporary detention order allows the police officers to pick up the person and take them to an inpatient psychiatric facility.
Justice, if, and I assume I could call you Justice Paul Barnett, if someone is declared...
Mr. is fine.
Mr. Barnett, if someone is declared mentally ill and imminent danger to others, including himself or herself, what happens then? What goes forward?
After a hearing, and there's several processes that are looked at first. After a full hearing on this matter, if the person has declined to be a voluntary patient, I'm required to find if there is clear and convincing evidence of those factors. And if I do find that, then I'm required to look at less restrictive alternatives to an inpatient hospitalization. And that would be various forms of outpatient treatment, therapy, medication, substance abuse treatment, all those forms of therapy that would be done outside of a hospital. If they are found to be available and appropriate, then I'm required to order they do that. And
what happens if an individual is deemed of imminent danger to himself or herself, decides not voluntarily to seek special treatment, but just wants to go on with whatever he or she were doing? What does the courts do then?
The whole process is to determine if there are alternatives to being in a full 24-hour hospital. If there are not any reasonable alternatives to that, or if the person would not be amenable to that, then the commitment order can be issued that keeps them in the hospital until a psychiatrist says that they should be discharged.
All right, and I just want to be precise with our viewers. The documents that we have, and I know you don't want to discuss the specifics of any case, including the case of Cho Seung-Hui, but the documents we have from 2005 declares that he was declared mentally ill by the Virginia Special Justice, that would be you, and of imminent danger to others. I know you don't want to add anything specific to that unless you do, and I'll give you a chance before I let you go, Mr. Barnett.
I'm not going to discuss, any particular finding on any particular individual, but I want to stress that the statute requires me to investigate several different things. First, whether they would be voluntary in a hospital, and if they decline that, if they meet the criteria by a very strong level of proof, and then beyond that, even if those criteria are met, I have to examine less restrictive alternatives to an involuntary admission.
Paul Barnett, thanks very much. The Special Justice here in Virginia, who's got a tough assignment. Thank you very much for sharing some thoughts with us. We're also learning more about what authorities found in Cho's dorm room while carrying out a search warrant the night of the shooting. Let's bring in our internet reporter, Abby Tatton. Abby, what does the warrant say police were actually looking for?
Wolf, it says they were looking for weapons, explosives, but also pens and paper that could have been used to communicate bomb threats. Here's the warrant here. We put it online for the residents of Cho at Harper Hall, which is on the Virginia Tech campus there. There's what the police were looking for. There's also a list of what they took away. 16 items. Let's go through some of them. A chain was taken, a knife, a compact computer was removed from Cho's room by the police during this search, a combination lock, Dremel tools along with a case, and then assorted books and notepads are mentioned along with 6 sheets of green graph paper. Now, an accompanying affidavit to this search warrant explains why the police were so interested in these notepads and paper. It says that bomb threat, a written bomb threat was found at the site of the killings, found at Norris Hall, a written bomb threat against the engineering department. And this affidavit goes on to say it's reasonable to believe that the presumed suspect, Joe, was the author of that note. We've put the entire search warrant online at CNN.com so viewers can see it for themselves. Wolf?
Thank you, Abby, for that. We're going to check back with you because a lot of information is being shared with us online. We're following the breaking news, a number of unexpected developments here in the Virginia Tech massacre, including news Cho Seung-Hui sent a package to a national news organization before he undertook the rampage, killed himself. Also, prayers to help with the pain. I'll be speaking with the Reverend Franklin Graham. He's here at Virginia Tech. He's trying to help those deal with this immense loss. And later, he's a legend on the campus. The Virginia Tech head football coach, Frank Beamer. He'll be joining us to talk about his special efforts to boost the spirits of a school dealing with horrific tragedy. Much more of our special coverage coming up right here in The Situation.
Situation Online, brought to you by IDARC Media, the official publisher of Verizon print directories.
IDARC Media is the official publisher of the Verizon Yellow Pages and home to superpages.com, delivering billions of print and online searches every year. So anywhere, anytime, find the answers you need and the things you want from your home or anywhere else. IDARC Media.
Are all gasolines the same? At Shell, we're constantly testing to prove there is a difference. From in the lab to driving 5,000 miles on the open road. And while some interesting things happened during the testing, the results proved even more interesting. Low-quality discount gasolines can allow performance-robbing gunk to build up in your engine. Shell gasolines stop gunky buildup, helping your car perform at its best. Now that's a difference.
Great feats of engineering don't start with the top. Introducing the all-new BMW 3 Series convertible. Built from the ground up to be an ultimate driving machine.
It's the Stainmaster Flooring Fashion Premiere, featuring the latest looks in high-fashion flooring from Stainmaster Carpet. Gorgeous new patterns, stunning new colors, luxurious styles to transform any room. Bring the enduring beauty of Stainmaster Carpet to your home during the Stainmaster Flooring Fashion Premiere. Stainmaster Carpet, always stylish, always beautiful. For a retailer near you, visit stainmaster.com.
Hello, I'm a Mac. And I'm a PC. Oh, hey, PC, you want to see the website and home movie I made?
Oh, I'm so creative, and all my programs are so easy to use.
PC.
Well, some things never change, Mac. Some things never change.
What is that supposed to mean?
So you want to see my pictures, PC? I have a better idea. How about I calculate how much time you've just wasted?
PC, you want to see him?
Actually, I have a better idea. Why don't I calculate how much time you just wasted?
Tonight on 360, imaginary friends, stalking of classmates, violent writings, and more. All the warning signs, all the pieces. Why didn't anyone put them together in time? Anderson Cooper is live from the campus, getting answers. Tonight, 10 Eastern.
Getting lots of new developments here on the campus of Virginia Tech. We're going to update you on all of the breaking news that's coming up. But first, the football coach here at Virginia Tech. He's developed a powerful, powerful football program, but he's canceled his team's annual spring game, saying some things are more important than football. Joining us here, another very popular figure on the campus, the coach Frank Beamer. Coach, I would have loved to have spoken to you under different circumstances. Been a great admirer of yours over many years. You've built an outstanding football program. Talk to us a little bit about the counseling you're giving. What are you saying to the young kids who have been so traumatized by what happened Monday morning here?
Well, I'm leaving that to the professionals. Most of our players are off campus now. We've contacted them Monday when this happened, and then we contacted them again just to talk if they needed counseling, how to go about that. But you know, it was one of those things for us that you know, we're in spring practice. We're practicing,
which is huge here on the campus.
It is, and you know, for our spring game Saturday, there would have probably been 40,000 people
and
here.
And you canceled that.
I did. We did. You know, I think there's probably going to be funerals going on Saturday, and we're practicing. And to me, out of respect for the victims and their families, I think that's what needs to take place. However, you know, there's so many times, well, if I talked about our football team, and we're in this all together, talking to the alumni and talking to the students here and the faculty here, we're all in this thing together. And right now, I feel like at this university, we certainly are all in this thing together.
What are your players, the football players? What are they saying to you? Because these are talented athletes. They're big. They're strong. They're tough. But they're young kids.
Well, you know, and they're hurting like everyone else. And we grieve with the families. You know, we are in this thing together, and we're going to grieve with them. But we're going to come back from this thing too. This is a very close campus. It's a very close community here. Hokie people are very close. And
I just want to let our viewers know the Hokies, that's the name of the school. A lot of our viewers probably aren't familiar with that.
And if I know anything, these Hokies are going to come back. We're going to get tighter. We're going to care about each other more. We're going to respect each other more as we go around this campus. And mark it down now, when we open that football season next fall against East Carolina, I'll bet you'll see a togetherness even more so than you've ever seen in the past.
Any of your players want to transfer or leave Virginia Tech?
No, I don't. I haven't heard any of that.
Were any of them close to the carnage? Were any of them on campus, nearby?
I think some of them knew them, but I don't think there was anyone close. But you know, I feel strongly that, you know, we can't let when you start talking about transferring and those things. We can't let one person, now when you get it down to it, it's one person that had some serious problems and destroy everything that we have around here every day, the togetherness, the caring, the great community, the feeling here at this university. We're not going to let that one person destroy that. We're going to come back and be stronger than ever, and I just know the Hokies are where that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, I'm confident you're absolutely right. Well said, Coach. Hopefully you'll have a great season coming up, and you always do. Sure you will next year as well. We'll be watching very closely.
Well, we're going to try, and we're going to get ready to have a celebration in that opening ball game in Lane Stadium against East Carolina, and we're going to get through this. You know, it's hard. We feel for the families, but we're going to get through it and be stronger than ever.
Coach Beamer, thanks very much.
Thank you.
To our viewers, you're in the Situation Room. Happening now, the new video we're getting of the chaos on the campus during the Virginia Tech massacre. You're going to see the shocking drama unfold. Stalking complaints, suicide fears, and a commitment to a mental facility. There's new information emerging right now on the precarious psychological state of the gunman long before he methodically shot dozens of people. And she helped rally this campus in its hour of greatest need. We're going to hear from poet and professor Nikki Giovanni, who's anguished that no one could stop the student who she said that she once found so mean and so intimidating. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. We're learning much more today about the gunman blamed for the bloodiest shooting rampage in modern U.S. history. Police say the gunman sent a package to NBC, and NBC is saying it contains his writings and videos. Was apparently sent between the two sets of shootings here Monday morning. We also have dramatic new video as students caught scenes of shock and panic as the massacre played out. Authorities now say Cho Sung-hui was committed to a mental health facility in late 2005 after two female students complained about his attempts to contact them, and after an acquaintance told police that Cho might be suicidal. We're also learning more about the weapons used in Monday's killings. A local pawn shop owner says Cho picked up a Walther P22 handgun at his store. The weapon was purchased out of state. A Virginia gun dealer says Cho had bought a 9mm Glock at his shop in Roanoke. That's not far from the campus here. A string of stunning new developments unfolding this hour. CNN's Brian Todd is here. Let's start with the new video, the chaos of the massacre as was recorded by these two exchange students.
Very dramatic stuff, Wolf. This video shot as the shootings were occurring at Norris Hall. That is where the second round of shootings occurred, where 30 people were killed by alleged gunman Cho Sung-hui. This video shot by Swedish exchange students who appeared to be in a building next door to Norris Hall. Video showing a lot of confusing scenes, police running around. We spoke to these students a short time ago, and they told us about the experience of shooting this video and what they were seeing. You do see just a massive confusion on the street there. This Norris Hall is about an 11-minute walk by foot. We actually timed this yesterday from the scene of the first shooting at Ambler Johnston Hall across campus from here. There's a law enforcement officer running there. You see law enforcement officers running all over the place. The video is a little bit jagged at times, but the photographer does get his bearings at various points, and you can clearly see scenes of confusion there. This is, again, the same scene, the same building where video was obtained 2 days ago from a cell phone photographer on the other side of the building, capturing the natural sound of gunshots going off. So those shootings at Norris Hall now captured on two very, very dramatic pieces of videotape, Wolf.
And tell our viewers about this court order involving Cho's mental health.
We have two court documents, and there's been a little bit of confusion on this case because the court documents that we have, one is from the district court. Actually, they're both from the district court here in Southern Virginia. One of them says that the alleged shooter presents an imminent danger to himself as a result of mental illness. There's a box checked for that. There's a box not checked stating whether he presents an imminent danger to others. However, there is another document that we have here from the district court, a temporary detention order. These are both dated the same day, December 13th of 2005. There is a box checked on this detention order for Cho Sung-hui, which says that he is mentally ill and in need of hospitalization and presents an imminent danger to self or others as a result of mental illness, or is so seriously mental ill as to be substantially unable to care for self and is incapable of volunteering or unwilling to volunteer for treatment. So a little bit of confusion as to whether he was a danger to others, but two documents show, Wolf, that he was a danger to himself, according to the court.
All right, the stunning developments. We're going to continue to watch the ramifications of that. We spoke to the special justice in the past hour and gave us some information on how they go about declaring somebody mentally ill and of imminent danger not only to himself but to others as well. We don't know what fell out as a result nearly 2 years ago of that court order. We're also getting another shocker coming in, word that NBC News received a package believed to have been mailed by the Virginia Tech shooter in between the two sets of shootings Monday morning at the dorm and later at the engineering building here on the campus. Let's get the latest information we're getting from Mary Snow. She's joining us in New York. What are you learning, Mary?
Well, Wolf, authorities are saying this is a new critical component of this investigation. NBC reporting that it received this package by U.S. mail. And as you mentioned, NBC says it is believed that this package was sent between the first and second shooting in this 2-hour gap. Just a short time ago, authorities in Virginia announced this latest piece of evidence.
Earlier today, NBC News in New York received correspondence that we believe to have been from Cho Sung-Hui, the gunman is responsible for the fatal shootings in Norris Hall. The correspondence included multiple photographs, video, and writings. Upon receipt of this correspondence, NBC News immediately notified authorities.
Now, those writings are being described as rambling writings. NBC did turn this over to the FBI this afternoon. The network is expected to release a statement shortly about this package and this latest development. Wolf?
FBI saying to the authorities here, that could be a critical component of this investigation. The FBI has the originals, Mary. They're evaluating all of this. Have you had a chance yet to get any reaction from NBC itself?
Well, NBC now is in terms of what it's reporting about what the content is, pictures, video, and clearly this could be such a crucial element to the shooting, and especially in that 2-hour gap, this could explain so many questions about where the gunman was and what he was doing, and this could explain that gap.
Mary Snow staying on top of this story for us. The Virginia Tech community here got a badly needed boost from one of its best-known personalities, Nikki Giovanni, who rallied the mourners here only yesterday. She's been agonizing as well, though, about some of these developments. Carol Costello is joining us here on the campus. You've been speaking to her, and you've been getting some incredible information.
Oh, you know, agonizing is the right word, because she is agonizing over this. At one point, Wolf, she looked at me and she said, you know, if we adults could have stopped this, don't you think we would have? But as they say, nothing is quite that simple.
Nikki Giovanni is a poet and professor. When she spoke at Virginia Tech's memorial convocation yesterday, she spoke from the heart.
We are the Hokies. We will prevail. We will prevail. We will prevail. We are Virginia Tech.
But when I caught up with her today, her voice was full of frustration. Why hadn't this student been stopped before he became a killer?
Tell me what this kid was like, Joe.
I think Joe is mean, and it's an expression I use. I've taught students that I know to be a little on the crazy side. I've taught students I know to be a little disturbed emotionally or mentally. And this was a mean guy, and I think he tried to intimidate everybody.
Monday, he killed another of her students, Matt Laporte.
Matty was such a sweet kid. He really just had this little sweet face, and you know, he said, this isn't a good poem. And I said, Mr. Laporte, all of the poems we write are good poems, because why? And he'd kind of look up and he'd say, why? We are poets.
Cho's behavior in class was anything but poetic.
Cho had his cell phone, and so he'd be taking pictures of the girls. Well, he's at knee level, so it made, you know, most of the Virginia Tech students are wearing pants, so it's not like he's under their skirt or anything like that. It's just that he was taking these photographs. And the kids finally said to me, you know, Nikki, you know, he's taking these pictures. What are you going to do?
Giovanni says Cho also failed to complete his assignments or take off his glasses and hat in class. She told him she had asked administrators that he be removed from her classroom.
Said, I can't, I'm not helping you, and I can't continue with you, and I would rather you did. And he said no. And so I wrote him up.
Lucinda Roy, the department chair, began teaching him on her own.
When you heard about the shooting and you heard the suspect's name.
I heard about the shooting, and I heard that he was an Asian-looking fellow. I knew who it was. And I said that to her. Well, yeah, I mean, I would have been shocked if it wasn't. I said, oh, God, I taught that kid.
You know, I asked her if university officials should have kicked this kid out of the university, and she says, you know, for what? There was another kid that I know of who was so eccentric that he could have done it. You know, I guess when you get to the bottom line and talk to university officials, since Cho was not convicted of any crime or charged with any crime, there was very little the university could do.
Although we are getting this information that's just broken in the last hour that there was some sort of court order declaring him of imminent danger to himself and to others because of his mental illness.
But you know, it's conflicting, as Brian Todd said. We don't know if it was to himself because he was admitted to that mental home for suicidal tendencies. And then he was fine. This all happened in the year 2005.
At the end of 2005,
right,
yeah.
in 2006, apparently, according to police at a press conference this morning, there were no more problems with him.
Is she suggesting any sort of guilt or remorse that she didn't do enough, that she could have done more to alert authorities? She's a remarkable woman, but does she feel that she could have done more?
I asked her about that, and she said she really believes in the chain of command. She reported this student's behavior to her chair as she was supposed to, and she assumed it would go up the line. And as far as we can tell, it did. They removed this kid from the classroom. They gave him special tutoring, and as we know, that didn't really work out either.
Carol's doing excellent reporting for us here. Carol, thank you very much. We just got a statement in from NBC News. Let me read it to you. NBC received a communication from Joe Sung-Hui, the man identified by police as the Virginia Tech shooter, via the U.S. mail this morning, and immediately turned it over to the authorities. The package included images, videos, and writings, and appears to have been mailed between the two shootings. We are cooperating fully with the authorities. That statement just coming in from NBC News. Chilling information here on this investigation. We're following up all of these developments, the breaking news here in the Situation Room. Also coming up, parents of one of the victims here speaking out publicly now for the first time about the heart-wrenching loss of their son. They'll sit down with me for their first interview. That's coming up this hour. Also, we'll have new details of harassment allegations against Cho dating back almost 2 years. Were they an early warning? And the massacre, thrusting the controversial issue of gun control back in the spotlight. Will anything change? Stay with us. Our special coverage continues right here in The Situation.
San Diego, 365 days of awe. Plan your summer getaway today at sandiego.org.
I had a lady and her daughter come in, kind of panicked. She was from out of town visiting her grandchildren. She left her blood pressure medication at home and said, don't worry. We're going to take care of you. Just have a seat. So we called her pharmacy back home to transfer her prescriptions for her. And then we also called her insurance company to make sure that she wouldn't have to pay any extra. And it made us feel good to see her leave the pharmacy and to know that she could enjoy her daughter and her grandchildren. My name is Melvin Smith, and I'm a CVS pharmacist.
For those who serve others, we serve you. We're TIAA-CREF. With our range of financial products and services, including personalized, objective advice, we have the expertise to help you plan for and live in retirement. So whatever stage you're at in preparing for your future, we can help. TIAA-CREF, financial services for the greater good.
We're going to be swamped getting this shipment out this morning. Don't worry, I'll use my Nextel. Customs cleared?
Yep.
Containers can go. All right. All drivers dock 3.
Okay. Already there.
You're fired.
Businesses now get the Motorola Buzz for just $59.99. Nextel, only from Sprint.
Between my two phone bills, it's probably about $60 a month.
About $150.
Probably $100 a month.
With Vonage, it's just $24.99 a month for unlimited local and long distance. Call now and get 1 month free, including free calls to the U.S., Canada, Puerto Rico, and Europe. And all the cool features you could ever want are included. Over 20 in all. That's a savings of up to 50% on your phone bill.
Call 1-800-681-3944.
We're live here on the campus of Virginia Tech, and we're joined now by Mike and Peggy Herbstritt. Their son Jeremy was a graduate student here. This is their first interview since his death. Also joining us is Ken Stanton, a friend, a close friend of Jeremy's. And first of all, I want to say on behalf of everyone at CNN, all of our viewers, our heart goes out to all of you. Our deepest condolences, Peggy and Mike. I know this is very hard for you to talk about your son under these circumstances, but tell us a little bit about your wonderful, loving son.
Jeremy had a lot of energy. From the time he was born and even through graduate school, I don't think he slept more than a couple hours a day. He loved life. He did everything to the fullest. He was never afraid to try anything either. Whether he thought he would succeed or not, he just jumped right in.
Mike? He was a great son. He was the best son in the world I ever had. You know, I have two sons. I love them both. And Jeremy was a son that he worked with me side by side. My son Joe does the same thing. Joe's a very beautiful son. And I have two daughters. And Jeremy, sometimes he'd tell me, he said, "Dad, we're going to put up a fence." And to Jeremy, it wasn't just working 4 hours or 8 hours. When he said, "You're going to put up a fence," you worked 12 hours. And he worked until he got that fence done, you know. And he loved this Blacksburg area. Jeremy was a hiker. He was a biker. He ran in marathons. And he was a good kid. Everybody that met him liked him, you know, and he was happy. And he lived his life happy.
What was he majoring, Peggy, what was he majoring in here at Virginia Tech? He was a graduate student.
A graduate civil engineering.
So he was in that engineering building at the time?
Yes, yes.
Have you learned the circumstances of what happened?
All we learned is
well, we really don't know. I do want to tell you this. Monday we were in Boston at the marathon, and Jeremy, because of his energy and his zeal for running, he involved all of his siblings. Jeremy has two sisters and a younger brother, and Jennifer, she's 25. She ran the Boston Marathon, and we were there that day watching her run. And Jeremy had called the night before.
Sunday night.
Sunday night, calling to wish her well and to hope things went well for her.
Was that the last time you spoke to him?
Yes. But he loved his brothers, he loved his sisters, and I hope Joe, Steph, I hope you're, and Jen, you're watching, and Brad. Jeremy has a lot of friends here at Virginia Tech. He definitely left an impact on him. They said he was a quiet young man, if you can believe that, okay?
Who said that?
Well, one of his good friends is here. Can talk a little bit about Jeremy, because he, by all accounts, everything we've heard, and we know the parents are loving, wonderful parents. Talk a little bit about this really, really great guy.
Absolutely, Wolf. You know, it's kind of funny because he moved into my building beginning of this academic year, and I saw a lot of new people moving in, so I said, hey, I should get to know him. I had a party at my place, invited everyone to come down and just hang out, get to know each other. And, you know, Jeremy was one of those. And instantly, he walked in and just started talking. And everybody got to know everybody very quickly. He is very energetic and passionate, and you know, can just talk up a storm. And you know, I've hung out with him nearly every weekend since that point in time. He's you know, very a lot of fun to hang out with, and I saw him regularly, of course, living downstairs from him.
And if anybody ever asked Jeremy for some help, Jeremy was there to help him.
So true.
He helped everybody out.
It helped me a lot.
And he had a good heart. He had a good heart.
What else would you like to say? I know this must be so painful and difficult, and I know you've never really done television interviews before, but you really want to speak about your son and tell the world about this remarkable young man, Peggy. Right?
He caught the first West Nile mosquito in Center County. You know, he was on the West Nile virus mosquito program, was one of his jobs, and he was a good son to both Peggy and myself.
So
You know,
special.
To put it in perspective for you, I had a couple people come to me at the convocation yesterday. 3 girls. I hardly recognized them. I'd only met them once, one night, went out with Jeremy, talked to them for maybe collectively 2 hours, and they were just, you know, totally devastated. And I thought to myself, these people hardly know Jeremy. But then I realized it doesn't take long. He's an open book. Has a very open mind. He's very talkative and outgoing, and it just he overcomes, you know, you very quickly, and he's very captivating.
He's an honest boy.
Yes.
He's an honest boy. He told you the truth, whether you liked it or not.
Very true.
You know, he told you the truth.
He was so special. Peggy, is there anything else you'd like to say? I know this is very, very hard for you to do this, but if there is anything you'd like to say, you know, go ahead.
It is. It will not seem real to me until I actually see his body. But I want to say to my other children, Jeremy loved you very much. I know right now you think of him as being dead, but we can keep him alive in our hearts. We will find a way to make this, make some kind of positive out of this. So please, guys, stick together, okay?
How are your other kids doing?
It's tough. It's tough. They're sad. They're missing their brother, you know, and it's hard to lose your brother. It's hard to lose your son, you know. And on Monday night, I was watching some of the newscasters, and I don't think the newscasters really understand how hard it is, you know, to lose your son. You know, it's really hard, and it hits you right in your heart. You know, that's the whole thing. But we have to go on. We got to celebrate Jeremy's life. That's right. Going to be the rest of our life. We're trying to do that. The rest of our life is going to be to celebrate his life, to say what he did good, you know, and to say that Jeremy was a good boy, a good man, and we're going to love him forever.
That's right.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to love him.
God bless him. And God bless all of you, and thank you for sharing his story with us. Peggy, is there anything else you want to say?
No, just thank you to his advisor, to Dr. Diplis, to all the people in the department. Jeremy really found his niche here. This was his home, and you people were his family. And he loved it here, and he learned so much from you. I just want to say thank you for doing that for my son.
And we know that he was just awarded a scholarship, too, for outstanding academic achievement. Yes. It was just a fitting tribute to his great academic skills.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Hold on a second. We're gonna talk a little bit off camera. All of us. Thank all of you for sharing this moment with our viewers. We're going to continue our special coverage here on the campus of Virginia Tech. There are breaking developments about this gunman. NBC says it has received a package from him, new court documents showing he was considered harmful to himself. Also, since Monday, we've been asking why there was a 2-hour delay between the first shootings and the massacre. Our Brian Todd is getting some explanations on what may have occurred. All that coming up. Also, the Reverend Franklin Graham, the son of Billy Graham, he's here on the campus of Virginia Tech. He's trying to offer comfort. I'll be speaking with him this hour as well. Much more of our special coverage coming up here in The Situation.
Tonight on 360, the Virginia Tech shooter. Warning signs were there. Why didn't anyone put them together in time? Anderson Cooper is live from campus. Tonight, 10 Eastern.
Why are investors jumping to Scottrade?
Buy 500 shares online or 5,000. It's still $7 a trade.
You bet it is.
Hello? Hey, it's Roger again. This time I'm calling you on my new Comcast digital voice home phone service.
I told you last time, tattoos are permanent.
I know what you said before, but I was talking on my old phone service.
So?
Now I'm talking to you on my new Comcast service.
Sorry, Roger, you're Tiger now.
sorry. I have Comcast Digital Voice.
Your phone calls won't change. They'll just cost less. Comcast Digital Voice. It's
What makes Scottrade so special?
$7 trades and the service. On the phone, in person, they're the best.
Roger that.
Massacre at Virginia Tech, CNN, Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
You see a complex shipping industry. At Franklin Templeton, we saw a chance to invest in a logistics company whose technology streamlines shipping operations. A smart move for our fund shareholders. Perspective like this has made Franklin a leading equity manager. Franklin Templeton Investments. Gain from our perspective. Ask your advisor for a prospectus with investment goals, risks, fees, expenses, and other information to read and consider carefully before investing.
At Shell, we're constantly testing to prove there is a difference in gasolines. While low-quality discount gas can allow gunk to build up in your engine, Shell gasoline stops gunky buildup to help your car perform at its best.
Newspapers across America are speaking out against changes to Medicare. The Indianapolis Star warns fixing drug prices is bad for future generations. The Charleston Daily Mail says drug coverage works for seniors. And the Atlanta Journal says keep drug price negotiations out of Fed's hands. 90% of seniors now have comprehensive prescription drug coverage thanks to Medicare. Competition is creating real savings for seniors. Changing Medicare would be a mistake. Tell Congress, protect today's Medicare.
If you purchased or refinanced your home a couple of years ago and you got one of those adjustable teaser rates to qualify, just call or log on to ditech.com and refinance to a low fixed rate. Log on or call 1-800-71-FIXED.
There's new information and images coming in this hour about the bloodiest shooting rampage in modern U.S. history. Here's what we know right now. Dramatic new video showing the chaos on the Virginia Tech campus Monday morning. 2 visiting Swedish students capturing these images as the massacre was unfolding inside Norris Hall, the engineering building. You can see officials running back and forth, emergency vehicles, and you sense the urgency and the confusion that gripped this school. Also, we've learned that a special court judge here in Virginia declared Cho mentally ill back in 2005, saying he represented an imminent danger to himself. It described Cho as, quote, flat and depressed and in need of hospitalization. And NBC News now confirming it received correspondence from Cho, including writings and images, documents it says were mailed between the first killing inside a dorm and the later rampage inside Norris Hall. Officials say the originals have been turned over to the FBI for investigation. The enormity of the massacre here at the Virginia Tech campus can overshadow the individual losses. That's why it's important we learn as much as we can about each of those who lost their lives. Michael Poley was a senior majoring in a 5-year medical science program. He was 23 years old, a native of Flemington, New Jersey. He also worked at a restaurant near the campus called The Nerve. Laura Dunning is the manager of the restaurant. Laura is here, and Laura, you're holding a memorial service in honor of Michael later tonight. Is that right?
It's not so much a memorial service. It's going to be a small gathering for his very close friends, mainly his girlfriend, Marcy, and his close guy friends.
Tell us a little bit about this young man. What was he like?
Mike was probably the most stand-up guy I've ever met in my life. It was definitely a pleasure getting to work with him and getting to know him, and would have done about anything just for anybody.
Was he an undergraduate or a graduate?
He was an undergraduate.
And majoring in?
Biology.
Biology. So he was what, 19, 20 years old?
No, Mike was 23.
23. So, and he worked at the restaurant. What was he doing at your restaurant?
Mike was our head bartender, and he was very impressive. He always had a way of making all the customers laugh, the employees smile, just doing a good job.
So this was a part-time job or a full-time job for him because he was a full-time student?
Mike was a full-time student, and he made his job a full-time job.
Have you been speaking to the family, Mike's, family, his parents, his friends? What do they say? How are they coping?
It's a horrible loss, and I think that everyone right now is just at a loss. They're coping as well as I think they can.
And his girlfriend?
is hanging in there, and she's a very strong person as well.
So, and you're trying to comfort them and console them and help them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any sense you could make out of any of this? I mean, you live in this area. What are people saying to you?
Well, the one thing I know about Mike is that he was very proud to be a Virginia Tech student, and I think that he would want everyone to come together and to still represent that.
Which class was he in at the time of this shooting?
He was in a German class.
He was in that German class, and so many of the dead were in that class studying German, and all of a sudden it ended that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is there anything else you want to say or share with our viewers?
A few of Mike's friends wrote a few things about him. They wanted to say, as many of you who knew Mike, he wouldn't go down without a fight. Mike was a terrific and loyal friend to everyone who had an uncanny ability to make anyone who came in contact with him laugh, even if it took lighting his trademark chin-strap beard on fire to impress a few girls at the bar. Aside from being an unbelievable person and full of good nature, he was an equally amazing boyfriend and companion to Marcy. He would have done anything for her. Please always remember Mike in this way, honor him and respect him as the admirable and true person he really was. He gave himself selflessly to others in both life and at the time of his death.
I don't think we can add anything more beautiful than that. A really great guy, and thank you so much for sharing some thoughts, and please convey our deepest condolences to his family, his friends, when you meet with them later tonight.
Bye-bye.
Laura Dunning joining us here on the campus of Virginia Tech. We're learning, in addition to that, some important new revelations about the Virginia Tech gunman, Cho Seung-Hui, and they paint a picture of a deeply disturbed young man whose problems date back years before Monday's massacre. CNN's Jason Carroll is live in New York. Jason, how far back do Cho's problems really go?
Well, Wolf, Cho's problems go back at least 2 years, and earlier today, investigators revealed more about what they were able to uncover.
It is now clear Cho Seung-Hui had been troubled years before he committed mass murder. He first came to the attention of Virginia Tech police more than 2 years ago, November 27, 2005, after a female student complained Cho had been harassing her. Police questioned him, then released Cho to the school's Office of Disciplinary Affairs.
I can't comment on whether or not he had any kind of disciplinary record because that is protected, as most of you know, by the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act.
December 2005, another female student reports Cho for harassment. Cho's roommates feared at the time he was capable of hurting himself.
And the other time, the cops responded again, and Sung became upset about that, and he had told me that he might as well kill himself. And so I told the cops that, and they took him away to the counseling center for a night or two.
On December 13th, 2005, Cho was taken to this mental health facility in Radford, Virginia, for a psychiatric evaluation. That same year, a court declared Cho mentally ill and an imminent danger to himself. But police say for the next 2 years, they'd never received any reports about Cho. Cho's roommates tried to get him to interact with others, but he refused. Dr. Michael Wellner is a forensic psychologist. He says Cho shared some characteristic traits of mass killers, such as alienation and contempt for others.
We already know that he spoke rarely to his own roommate. And in my experience, many people who have some encounter with mental health in the system become so determined to avoid any contact that they know exactly what to say and what not to say so that they don't attract attention. And they don't.
But Cho, an English major, did attract attention with 2 graphic plays he wrote this spring, both with twisted plots to kill a main character. Cho's playwriting professor Ed Falco emailed CNN with his first public comment on the writings. There was violence in Cho's writing, he said, but there is a huge difference between writing about violence and behaving violently. We could not have known what he would do.
And in addition to the notes Cho left behind, as we all now know, investigators will be looking at the contents of a package Cho sent to NBC News, which reportedly contains, among other things, photos, a CD-ROM, and a recorded manifesto. These items may hold the answers as to what ultimately drove Cho to commit mass murder. Wolf.
And it paints a picture, Jason, of a man clearly who was mentally ill, but quite methodical, someone who was accepted into this University. Clearly, he had a plan underway, as twisted and as horrendous as it turned out to be. Is that the sense you're getting?
Absolutely. And you know, Wolf, and the experts that we talked to say that it's not unusual for some people who are mentally troubled to actually be very methodical in how they think in terms of when they ultimately want to carry out an act of destruction. Wolf?
All right, Jason, thank you. In the aftermath of events, horrible events like this week's unthinkable Virginia Tech massacre, everyone tries to make some sense out of the horror. I spoke earlier with one of those on the spiritual front lines right here in Blacksburg. And joining us here on the campus of Virginia Tech, the Reverend Franklin Graham. Reverend Graham, thanks very much for joining us. I know you came here to console these students. You've been meeting with them. First of all, what are you saying to them?
Well, Wolf, we've got 20 chaplains. These are volunteers from the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. These are men that have been trained for this type of counseling. They've been all across campus. They came in Monday night. And so I came up today to be with them and meet some of the students that they have been talking to.
What are these students saying to you?
A lot of it, Wolf, it's not so much what they're saying. It's just that they're stunned. It's like they're numb. And you have to kind of pull it out of them by asking questions. I think the big question that everybody asks is, why does God allow this? And Wolf, I don't blame God. I believe there is a devil. I believe there are demons that come and indwell in certain human beings, like we saw here on Monday, that do these horrible acts of just terror. And we saw it in the Holocaust, we saw it in Rwanda, we saw it in Bosnia. I was in Darfur just a few weeks ago with Senator Friss. We see it there. There's evil in this world, but yet God loves us, He cares for us, and God is on this campus, and God wants to make Himself known to this student body and to each and every one of us. And as a minister, I'm here to pray with them, to love them, and of course I want to try to share the faith that I have in the Lord Jesus Christ with everyone that I can.
And how have they reacted to your words?
They've been very appreciative, and some kids just come up and talk to you. Some of them I go up and talk to them. And I noticed one little girl, she was writing on the wall, and she had tears coming. I just approached her and I asked her what she wrote, and she began to tell me about her friend that died, and she was writing a note to her friend. And I asked her where she met her friend. They went to church together. And I found out she was a Christian, and so we began to talk, and we had something in common. But I just put my arm around her, hugged her, and let her know we love her. And
are you shocked by the way people are reacting here? Because there is a lot of anger also. Anger that the university itself may not have done enough to prevent this massacre from taking place.
Well, I don't know how you prevent something like this. And I tell you what's going to come out of this. It's going to change the way we've had our universities. Every campus from now on is going to review their security. I look at, we have an enemy right now. We're at war. They see how open our campuses are. I guarantee you they're planning a similar attack. And we better be ready. We better be prepared. And we're all losing our freedom slowly. And a day like what we saw here on Monday is going to change our campuses forever.
So what's the bottom line from your point of view, a minister, as you come here and you get ready to help these people? What's your bottom line message to these individuals who are suffering so much?
This is a reminder of the brevity of life. We're only here for a short time. We need to be ready, will all of us be prepared to stand before a holy God. The Bible tells us that God loves us, that He cares for us, and the Bible makes it very clear that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and no man comes to the Father but by Him. And I want these students here, I want those that are listening to know that God loves them, He hasn't abandoned them, and He's provided a way for each of us to be with Him in heaven one day. And we need to be prepared for heaven. Life is short, and it could come to an end for each of us. It could come today. I don't know when my life, I'm 54 years old. I'm a grandfather. I've lived a good life, and my life could come to an end tomorrow. And I need to be ready to stand before God.
Reverend Graham, thanks for the work that you do. Thanks for coming here.
Thank you, Wolf.
And still ahead, were authorities chasing a false lead during the critical 2 hours after the first shootings on Monday? Our Brian Todd has been looking into this. He's tracked down some answers. Also coming up in our 7 p.m. Eastern hour, we'll update you on the dramatic new information, the documents, the pictures police have just received. The FBI going through all of that right now. They were sent by Cho after the first shooting before the massacre. Stay with us. Much more of our special coverage right here in the Situation Room.
The very thought of you, and I forget to do the little ordinary thing.
Armor All Wax,
that everyone
wipes,
ought to do.
and tire shines. Go ahead, stare.
I'm a mother of 3 and a grandmother. My husband, he said I was hot.
I haven't had this smoking hot body since I was in college.
You can't miss the results of the new Nutrisystem Nourish, the easy weight loss program that lets you eat great and lose weight.
I'm a 40-year-old mom, and I think I look better than ever.
Call or go online now to order and start losing weight today. Plus, you'll be eligible to get 2 full weeks of Nutrisystem meals free.
It's so simple. With Nutrisystem, if you can eat, you can lose weight.
Our secret is the breakthrough science of the glycemic advantage that separates good carbs from bad.
My husband loves my new body. In fact, he jokingly calls me his trophy wife.
Nutrisystem delivers every meal to your door and shipping is free.
I love it, I love it, I love it.
For about $10 a day, you'll enjoy perfectly portioned, absolutely delicious meals.
How can you argue with results like these?
Order today and you'll be eligible to receive an extra 14 breakfasts, 14 lunches, 14 dinners, and 14 desserts. 2 full weeks of food absolutely free. Call now.
Larry King tonight, the Virginia Tech killer's sweet mate, the latest disturbing details on the gunman and the deadliest shooting spree in U.S. history, plus victims' families and survivors. Larry King Live, tonight 9 Eastern, only on CNN.
What do you know about computers?
My daughter definitely knows how to use a computer better than I do half the time, and she's 3.5.
Hi, I'm John Scherer, CEO and founder of Video Professor. I've been hearing comments like that for over 18 years now. Listen to this.
I did the Excel, and it was a lot of fun. Really? I had a real good time. I learned a lot.
The difference, just 1 hour with one of my CDs, and they're easy to use. The CD plays like a video on your computer screen. Just follow the step-by-step instructions. And if you call right now, I'll send you any lesson of your choice free. The reason I can do this is because I know that once you try my product, you'll come back to us for all your computer learning needs. If you can't learn for any reason, I'll not only refund your shipping and processing, but I'll send you $10. So learn a new skill in less than an hour. Try my product.
I think that's the most fun I've had learning something about the computer.
To get your free computer learning CD, you must call now. Call 1-800-701-3063.
Two major developments unfolding here today. We're following all of the stories. A court order just about 2 years ago declaring the shooter in this case mentally ill. And only in the past hour or so we've learned that he actually sent some documents, some images to NBC after the first shooting before the massacre in that engineering building. We're going to update you on all of this going on. That pair of killings unfolding here. We're getting new information. The first stage was in the dormitory. Then 2 hours later, there was that mass slaughter in an engineering classroom building. Did police lose precious time in between on a false lead? Let's get back to our Brian Todd. He's here. Brian, what have you pieced together?
Well, Wolf, we've gotten some incredible new insights, really, from the police themselves and from court documents that explain, at least in part, what the police were doing in those crucial hours between the first and second shooting incidents. In those crucial minutes after the first shootings, before the second incident, Virginia Tech police pursued what now appears to be a false lead.
It was information that the officers obtained from the initial speaking with witnesses.
One of those witnesses, the roommate of Emily Hilscher, one of the first victims to die at Ambler Johnston Hall. According to a search warrant affidavit obtained by CNN from the Montgomery County Circuit Court, Hilscher's roommate, Heather Haw, seen here on photos on her website, told police she'd recently shot guns at a range with Carl D. Thornhill. On his website, where we got these pictures, Thornhill characterizes himself as in a relationship with Emily Hilscher. Describing Thornhill's weapons, the affidavit says it is reasonable to believe that Thornhill has these guns still in his residence in Blacksburg.
Based on that information, we were following up and we were trying to explore all avenues to determine exactly what had happened.
Police interviewed Thornhill. According to the affidavit, he told them he'd taken the guns to his parents' house in another Virginia town. While they interviewed Thornhill, police got word of a second round of shootings at Norris Hall. Police say they never held Carl Thornhill. He's never been charged and is not a suspect. It's not clear how much time police took after the first shootings pursuing Thornhill, or if they were following other leads at the same time. We went to Carl Thornhill's residence here in Blacksburg. We also called there and tried to reach his parents' residence. We also tried to contact Heather Haw. None of them could be reached.
Yes. All right, Brian, I know you're staying on top of this for us, and we'll be watching every step of the way. Lou Dobbs is standing by in New York. He's following all of this as well. Give our viewers a sense. What's coming up, Lou, at the top of the hour?
Well, thank you. We'll have the very latest tonight on the aftermath of the Virginia Tech shooting rampage. Police now say they have what could be critical new information about this gunman responsible for the shootings, and we've learned that a court order declared the gunman an imminent danger to himself and others nearly 18 months ago. What happened and why? We'll have complete coverage for you. And the shootings have reignited the debate over gun control in this country. But does gun control actually cut the crime rate? We'll have that comprehensive special report. And the commander of our troops in the Middle East, Admiral William Fallon, says the United States is losing ground in Iraq each and every day. The Admiral's remarks coming on the same day that insurgents killed nearly 200 people in Baghdad. We'll have all of that, much more at the top of the hour. Please join us. Wolf, back to you.
Lou, thank you. We're live here in Blacksburg, Virginia, the scene of the worst shooting incident in modern American history. We've got some more information. We'll get back to that story in a moment. As you just heard from Lou, Zane Vergie is monitoring some other incredibly important stories that are happening right now, including what's going on in Iraq. Zane, tell our viewers the latest.
Wolf, insurgents struck terror across Baghdad today, killing 198 people and wounding 240 more in a series of bombings. Most of the casualties came at the Sadariya market in central Baghdad, where police say a parked car blew up, killing 124 people and wounding more than 150. Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki later ordered the arrest of the Iraqi army colonel in charge of security there. 35 people died in a suicide bombing near an Iraqi army checkpoint at an entrance to Sadr city. Then another car bomb exploded near a hospital and a market in central Baghdad's Harada district. 11 people died in that attack. And in the Rusafa area of northwestern Baghdad, a roadside bomb killed 4 people. At least 8 others were killed in 2 more bombings in the capital. Praise and condemnation for a controversial Supreme Court ruling on abortion. The justices split 5-4 to uphold a law banning so-called partial birth abortion, even though it doesn't provide an exception to preserve a woman's health. President Bush, who signed the law, says he's pleased. Democratic Senator Barbara Boxer of California says the ruling puts women with dangerous pregnancies in deep jeopardy. Residents in the Northeast are still feeling the effects of that huge spring storm. More than 80 roads remain closed in New Hampshire because of high water or damage. Also, officials say it could take several days to bring back power to some people. Close to 70,000 homes and businesses are still in the dark in New Hampshire as well as in Maine. Wolf?
Zane, thanks very much. Some fast-moving, stunning developments this afternoon as we learn more about the Virginia Tech gunman Cho Sung-hee, his history of mental illness, and now his communication with NBC News, apparently the same day, the same morning as the massacre unfolded here on the campus. For more on all of these major developments, joined by my colleagues Paula Zahn, John Roberts, and Brianna Keeler. You've been spending several days here looking at this story, and I know, Paula, you've been speaking to some individuals who are really close to at least one beloved professor who died on this campus.
And even they, too, are very conflicted about how to look at this latest news. These are kids who happen to be in a class where a professor essentially put himself up against the door as the firing started to protect a student. Some jumped out the window. He did, obviously, to help them save their lives. But when you ask these kids about these latest developments and this picture that is emerging of this man, now that we know he was declared mentally unfit and a danger to himself and others, the question is, why for a 2-year period, or for that 2-year period, was he tracked? And some of these kids are saying the university has let them down, that they certainly were left vulnerable to some kind of potential attack. And other students say, you know what, let us grieve. We are trying to bury friends that we have lost, and we are not right now going to point fingers at the system. But there are so many unanswered questions tonight about what happened, and Brian Todd, you were just talking about it, from the end of 2005 up until recently.
And these questions are not going away, John. You've been looking very closely at all of this, and just give us some sense of, if you can make any sense out of this tragedy.
Well, that's the problem that people are having. I just went over and spent a couple of hours over by the memorial that's in front of Burris Hall. They have those 8 sandwich boards, if you will, where people are leaving messages, flowers and whatnot, reading a lot of the messages. Most of them are saying that we're going to come back from this, but there was just such a lack of understanding of what could possibly happen in a tragedy like this and how something like this could happen. I also ran into a couple of neighbors, Professor Loganathan, who was one of the professors who was killed, talked to a young girl who is good friends with his daughter. She was telling me how the family is and isn't coping. She said, you know, the daughter is doing all right, but the mother she can't understand what happened. This is Blacksburg, Virginia, small town, Virginia Tech, a wonderful community here, and her husband, this young girl's father, is now dead, along with 31 other people. And I think that's the greatest problem that people have here, is just trying to come to grips with how Cho Seung-wi did what he did, why he did what he did. Maybe we'll get something out of this manifesto as the details of it become known in the days and weeks ahead. But right now, there's just no comprehension of this.
And I know, Brianna, this has happened to you because it's happened to me, and I assume it's happened to John and Paula. Young students, they just sort of come up to you and they break down and start crying.
That's exactly right. I was talking earlier today about one student in particular, and he didn't come up to me, but I was watching this convocation yesterday, and it was mostly media watching upstairs in the conference center, and he came over because he wanted to watch it, and we never spoke, but he was sniffling the whole time, and he couldn't control himself. You know, he couldn't stop. It was very difficult for him to watch this convocation. And I got him some tissues, and I handed him the tissues, and he started to lose it just because I had reached out to him, and I patted him on the back, and he started really crying, and that upset me. I mean, you can't be here around these people who are going through this, and we can't understand exactly how deep their loss is, but there's no way that you can't feel connected to it.
What I was struck by today is talking to Korean American students. There are about a community of 400 of them here on campus. We were told about half of them have gone home. And when you ask the question, the parents just want to bring them home to make them feel safe, they said yes, but also they are very fearful that there might be some backlash against Korean American students because of this attack. And that is something that these kids are feeling profoundly.
You know what's really underscored to me, John, I assume to you as well, that people grieve in different ways. God forbid any of us who have kids, a tragedy like this could unfold. You know, you think you'd go crazy, but you know, some people, they want to come forward, they want to speak to us, share their stories, and talk about their son or daughter.
Yeah, it is different, and we found that over at the memorial. I went over with just a small little camera so that we didn't have the big crew around me, and just taking some pictures of what people had written, taking pictures of people writing things down, asking some of them what they had written. Some of them wanted to talk with us. They were happy to share their thoughts, happy to tell me what they'd written. Others said, please, if you don't mind, could you not take a picture of this? And of course, you just, accede to their wishes because you know that they're grieving. The thing that struck me about it, which was really unusual, was that you read those writings yourself, and Brianna said that she broke down when this young fellow broke down with her. You almost start crying when you read what people have written, because you put yourself in their shoes, and there's a lot of parents there as well. And I'm the parent of a senior in college and a young daughter who will be in college in a couple of years, and there's such a fine line for parents across America and children across America for being there in that building and not being there. It could have been Virginia Tech. It could have been any university across the country. It could have happened on Monday. It could have happened on Tuesday. It would have been a completely different set of children. And what put you in it and kept you out of it is like that. And you just never know when it could hit.
And I know you spoke with Reverend Franklin Graham, earlier tonight, and I asked him what it is we as parents should be telling our children about this horrible tragedy. And he said, it's just as you said, we have to remember how quickly life can leave us, and that we need to have this great sense of gratitude for any moments we have here.
And I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, but I think it bears mentioning one more time that John King story that he found about the cell phones going off while the body bags were being taken out of Norris Hall. Can you imagine?
It's just so
Can you imagine
haunting.
being a parent
so
or sibling on the other end of that line?
And so chilling. Brianna, you were our first reporter who got here to the scene shortly after we learned of the enormity of this tragedy. You've been here ever since. Have you seen a change on this campus since Monday afternoon when you got here?
You could see the change on Monday afternoon. I think I arrived sometime in the early afternoon hours, and I was actually ushered through a hallway that later I realized I shouldn't be in. I was told by police. At that point, though, things were somewhat disorganized. It was the area outside the ballroom in the Alumni Center where family and students were waiting for news on people who they were calling and trying to figure out if they had survived, if they had just scattered. And I came back to that hallway 2 hours later, and Wolf, the difference was amazing. I've never seen so much grief in such a small space. Just the look on people's faces, your heart broke when you watch what they were going through, the uncertainty. It had moved from some hopefulness towards just realizing that things were not going to be the same probably for them.
Paula, you're going to have a special Paula's On Now coming up at 8 p.m. Eastern. Give our viewers a little sense of what's in store.
Well, as we all know, these facts seem to change by the minute, so we're going to try to put the pieces of the puzzle together as best we can, how it was that this young man could have had 3 contacts with law enforcement at the end of 2005, how he could have been evaluated, how he could have been put in a mental health facility, and then seemingly not tracked over the next 2 years. Police are now telling us they have no record of any mental health officials tracking them from that point on. How can that be? And where was the university in all that?
Paula's On is going to be having special coverage. You're going to be here tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning,
as well,
6
John?
o'clock at American Morning.
6 to 9 a.m. with Karen Chetry, our new anchors for American Morning. John, this is a powerful story that we're not leaving here, and Brianna's going to stick around and do some excellent reporting for us as well. Up ahead, schools nationwide now looking into an emergency text message system in the wake of the Virginia Tech massacre. Our internet reporters standing by to show you the situation online. And this note, coming up at our 7 p.m. Eastern hour, inside the brain of a killer. Our chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, has a special report you're going to want to see. Much more of our special coverage right here in The Situation.
Winner 2006 Academy Award Best Actress, Helen Mirren. When tragedy struck, her actions...
No member of the royal family will speak publicly about this.
...divided a nation.
You have damaged the monarchy.
The Queen. Own it on Blu-ray and DVD Tuesday, April 24th.
Fast-acting Roundup. So effective, it even beats the weather. Roundup kills to the root, and it's so fast, nothing stops it, not even the rain. Roundup. Faster, better, rainproof.
I love this one. This man finally popped the question.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
But his Visa card was over the limit.
I'm so sorry. There seems to be a problem.
His fiancée told him to call American Express.
Okay, this one's so cool. A Gold Card member wanted a special gift for his wife's birthday.
Oh.
So I got him tickets through Gold Card events for the concert of the year before they went on sale.
Got him.
Call 1-800-THE-CARD for the Preferred Rewards Gold Card.
This one's quite romantic. Card member calls up, wants to take her husband to this really authentic Italian restaurant. I say, it's easy with our rewards program. Go online, pick almost any flight, you can pay with points, and go.
Tiramisu.
Italian food in Italy. Bellissimo.
Apply now. You could earn 10,000 membership rewards points after your first purchase. Call 1-800-THE-CARD and apply for the Preferred Rewards Gold Card.
It's not just about imagining your future. It's about knowing you'll get there. Now with HSBC Direct Online Savings, you'll earn 6% APY on new money until April 30th. 11 times the national savings average. Go to hsbcdirect.com and make your future happen sooner.
We'll see it on the air. I want to show our viewers some pictures that we're just getting the first glimpse of, and John Roberts is here with us. John, let's take a look at this. You and I are going to see these pictures for the first time. There it is.
Oh, boy.
That's the shooter. Cho Sung-Hui with his guns. These are pictures that were sent to NBC.
That's the 9mm Glock in his right hand and the Walther 22 in his left hand. You know what this looks like, Wolf? This looks like the first pictures that we saw of Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold after Columbine. They, of course, had a video that came out long after that. We learned much more about their murderous intent as time went on, and even took a couple of years for it to come out.
But look at that face, look at that expression that he's making as he's wearing those gloves and holding those two weapons.
I mean, it's just, you know, he's trying to look menacing, obviously. It would be interesting to know, is that a self-portrait, or did someone else take that picture? Quite possibly just set the timer on the camera and got in front of it, but it's very, it could be, you know, cropped for production, but it looks fairly well centered, and the height's all right and everything. It's possible somebody else took it. But
yeah, if somebody else took it, there could be an accomplice, and that's one of the things that authorities have not necessarily completely ruled out. John, stand by. We're going to continue our special coverage. A lot more coming up in the Situation Room, 7 p.m. Eastern. But Lou Dobbs picking up our coverage right now. Lou?
Well, thank you. Tonight, police say they have what could be critical new information about the gunman responsible for the Virginia Tech rampage. We've learned that a court order declared the gunman to be an imminent danger to himself and others nearly a year and a half ago. We'll have complete coverage. Also, the worst day of violence in Iraq in weeks. Nearly 200 people killed in a wave of bomb attacks in Baghdad. We'll have a special report from the Iraqi capital. And the commander of our troops in the Middle East, Admiral William Fallon, now says the United States is losing ground in Iraq each day. Has the United States lost this war? We'll have all of that, all of the day's news, and much more from Blacksburg, Virginia, straight ahead here tonight.
This is Lou Dobbs Tonight. News, debate, and opinion for Wednesday, April 18th. Live from New York, Lou Dobbs.
Good evening, everyone. Critical new developments tonight in the investigation of the Virginia Tech massacre. Police have received disturbing writings and images from the gunman that were apparently mailed in the 2-hour gap between the first shooting and the second. CNN has also learned that the shooter, Jo Seung-hee, was declared mentally ill and an imminent danger to himself in December of 2005. He was admitted to the hospital for treatment as an involuntary patient. Brian Todd now reports from Virginia Tech on the latest information about the gunman's mental history. Brianna Keeler reports on new details tonight about accusations the gunman had stalked women at Virginia Tech in the past. And John Zarella reports on the latest condition of victims of the shootings who remain in the hospital. But first, Brian Todd with the latest from the Virginia Tech campus. Brian?
Lou, we've gotten this document that speaks to the mental health of the suspect, Jo Seung-hee. This is a document for his admission to a mental health facility signed by a special justice named Paul Barnett on December 14th, 2005. The operative phrase here, boxes that are checked off on this final order, states that Jo Seung-hee, quote, presents an imminent danger to himself as a result of mental illness. There is another box checked off that says the alternatives to involuntary hospitalization and treatment were investigated and were deemed suitable. A key document here essentially stating that Jo Seung-hee was declared mentally ill by this circuit court and by the special justice Paul Barnett here in Blacksburg, Virginia. Excuse me, Mr. Barnett is in Christiansburg, Virginia, but he is the special justice that signed this order December 14th, 2005, declaring Jo Seung-hee mentally ill, and a box checked off saying that he presents an imminent danger to himself.
Brian, any indication that anything was done after that, if he did represent a danger to himself and to others, is mentally ill, what was the response of authorities?
Well, the authorities are not giving any details about the treatment. We asked about that repeatedly in a news conference today. They will not give any details about the treatment. There is another entry in this same form, however, where the judge writes, court ordered patient to follow on recommended treatments. They are essentially telling him follow up on recommended treatments. Not clear if Jo Seung-hee did that or not.
Thank you very much, Brian Todd from Virginia Tech's campus. Killer Jo Seung-hee apparently mailed a package of his writings, photographs, and videos to NBC. NBC says that it appears that Joe mailed that package between the first and the second shootings. Brianna Keeler has our report. Brianna?
Hi there, Lou. NBC News in New York says they did receive that package from Cho this morning. In a statement, here is what NBC News said. In part, the package included images, video, and writings and appears to have been mailed between the two shootings. We are cooperating fully with the authorities. We now know from NBC News, they say that the postmark was at 9:01 a.m. That was, of course, about an hour and 45 minutes after the report, the first 911 call from the first shooting, in about 45 minutes before the first reports of the second shooting. NBC says it got in touch with the FBI and with NYPD, and state police say that authorities are in possession. This, as you can see, is one of the images from this package that has been released. You can see Cho Sung-hui there holding two guns. Apparently, these are the two weapons, as I understand it, the Glock as well as the Walther pistol. And state police say that authorities are in possession of the original items in this package. Let's hear what they said.
To the FBI, and they're in the process of transporting those back. We've been working with the FBI, the ATF, Virginia Tech Police Department since discovering that this new evidence existed. This may be a very new critical component of this investigation. We're in the process right now of attempting to analyze and evaluate its worth.
Also today, we learned that Cho had been committed to a mental health facility in December of 2005 after two stalking incidents involving female students. In late November, the first one, Cho was contacting a female student in person and on the phone. She got police involved. She said she didn't want to be in contact with Cho, but she didn't file charges. She said the contact was just annoying. And then a little more than 2 weeks later, in mid-December, he was contacting another female student via text messaging. She also alerted police. Police obviously got involved. They talked to Cho, and it was that same day, December 13th of 2005. Later that day, an acquaintance of Cho contacted police and said they were concerned he was suicidal. At that point, police got involved again. They talked to Cho. They asked him to go see a counselor. He complied, and that is where they started their work towards taking the steps that got Cho committed to that mental health facility, Lou.
Brianna, it is becoming increasingly clear that the first remarks on the part of officials and friends and fellow students that they could not have known are absolutely incorrect here, that there are warning signs throughout the past 2 years that this man was seriously troubled and a threat to himself and the community. It's remarkable.
There certainly were some warning signs, but at the same time, when you talk with people, sometimes they talk about 20/20 hindsight. We've heard from people who say they weren't surprised that this was Cho, but we've heard from other people who said, we just thought he was very bizarre, and we didn't think that he would do anything like this.
Brianna, thank you very much. Brianna Keeler from the campus of Virginia Tech. 14 of those wounded in the shootings remain hospitalized tonight. Earlier today, Virginia's Governor Tim Kaine visited with them. John Zarella has our report. John?
Lou, that's exactly right. About 10:30 this morning, Governor Kaine arrived here at Montgomery Regional Hospital, where he spent between 30 and 45 minutes visiting the families and also visiting all 8 of the students, and 4 young women and 4 young men. And following his visit, the governor came out and spoke with us here, and he said that he was absolutely amazed at the strength that each of these students was exhibiting.
The students are generally doing pretty well. Most of them were sitting up in bed smiling. A couple of them had walked for the first time today. Their parents and family have come. These are students from Virginia, but also from, a number from Pennsylvania and Maryland who are here. Families had come a long way, but they're just very, very thankful that their children are alive and are recovering.
Now, the governor said one thing that really impressed him was that the families and the students all wanted him to pass on that they are praying for and thinking of the families who lost loved ones in Monday's massacre. There are, of course, 8 students still here. 5 of them remain in the intensive care unit. 3 are in the orthopedics unit, but all 8 are listed in stable condition and, Lou, improving by the day. Lou?
Well, that's wonderful news in a story that is absolutely brimming with tragedy and tremendous pain. Thank you very much, John. John Zarella from the Montgomery Regional Hospital there. Still ahead, a bleak warning today about the direction of the war in Iraq from the top U.S. military commander in the Middle East. We'll have a special report for you and troubling new concerns about the Bush administration's commitment to increase the number of Border Patrol agents along our southern border. And the Supreme Court making a historic ruling in the battle over abortion in this country. We'll have that story and new writings and images from the gunman in the Virginia Tech rampage. We'll have the special report on a critical new development in the investigation. We'll be right back.
When it's an insurance company, they call it Liberty Mutual. Responsibility. What's your policy? Liberty Mutual.
Whatever retirement was, it isn't anymore. It's no longer just about saving enough, but planning to protect what you've saved and having the income to do what you want to do. You intend to live a long, full life. Lincoln Financial Group will work with you to make sure your money knows that, so you have the financial confidence to say, hello, future. Ask Lincoln Financial Group and visit lfg.com to learn more.
Blue sky, smiling at me, nothing but blue sky.
Today, there's a fuel that, when paired with advanced diesel engines, will help reduce truck emissions by 90%. And that means bluer skies and cleaner air for all of us. Introducing new ultra-low sulfur diesel. From the people who bring you oil and natural gas. Learn more at energytomorrow.org.
Great feats of engineering don't start with the top. Introducing the all-new BMW 3 Series convertible. Built from the ground up to be an ultimate driving machine.
CNN Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern. His writings, his anger, his point of no return. Soledad O'Brien takes you inside the mind of a killer. Massacre at Virginia Tech. CNN Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
The top U.S. commander in the Middle East, Admiral William Fallon, today declared the United States loses ground in Iraq every day as insurgents and terrorists carry out major attacks. Insurgents in Baghdad today killed nearly 200 people in the biggest wave of attacks since the United States launched its new security plan, the so-called Surge, 2 months ago. Arwa Damon tonight reporting from Baghdad on the bomb attacks in the Iraqi capital. Barbara Starr reporting from the Pentagon on Admiral Fallon's bleak assessment of this war. And Ed Henry reporting from the White House on President Bush's refusal to compromise over his troop buildup in Iraq. We turn first to Arwa Damon in Baghdad. Arwa?
Lou, today's violence seemed to never end. Attack after attack striking at the capital, Baghdad, and reinforcing to the Iraqi people the power of the insurgency. Helplessly watching the rescue workers down below, all these women can do is grieve. The death toll from the Sadriya market bombing reached over 100 in just the first 2 hours after the attack and continued to rise throughout the evening. The Sadriya market, in a predominantly Shia area, was where a truck bomb killed over 130 Iraqis back in February. On Wednesday, the bombers picked another spot in the market and struck again. 2 hours earlier, just outside of the Shia slum of Sadr City, at a checkpoint set up as part of the Baghdad security plan, a car bomb exploded, killing over 24 Iraqis. In other parts of town, a car bomb killed at least 11. A suicide bomber killed 4 policemen at a checkpoint, and a roadside bomb killed 2 people at a busy intersection. Wednesday's carnage left many Iraqis wondering where to find that rule of law. The day's worst attacks happened in areas that were under Mahdi militia control, the militia loyal to radical Shia cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, that agreed to temporarily lay down its arms, saying they would give the security plan a chance. Violence of this magnitude once again appears to render hollow the words of the coalition command and of the Iraqi government, both whom insist that Iraqis will have control of their own country by the end of this year. Lou?
Ara Damon reporting from Baghdad. Insurgents in Iraq are killing our troops now at the fastest rate since last December. 65 of our troops have been killed so far this month, 112 of our troops killed in the month of December. 3,312 of our troops have been killed since the beginning of the war, 24,476 of our troops wounded, 11,064 of them seriously. Baghdad is now the deadliest region of Iraq for our troops. The rising number of our troops being killed in the Iraqi capital comes as our troops step up their offensive against insurgents in Baghdad. The new commander of our troops in the Middle East, Admiral William Fallon, today said the United States loses ground in Iraq each and every day. Admiral Fallon acknowledged that the United States has what he called a lot of work to do, but he said he has some cause for optimism. Barbara Starr reports now from the Pentagon.
Across Baghdad, at least 6 bombings, one of the deadliest days in Iraq ever. Insurgents challenging the Bush administration's claim that the troop surge and security crackdown are working. On Capitol Hill, the top U.S. commander for the region had a dire warning about Iraq.
But I'll tell you that there's hardly a week goes by, certainly almost a day that doesn't go by without some major event that also causes us to lose ground.
CNN has learned that at the most senior levels of the U.S. military, there is growing concern that al-Qaeda-backed suicide car bomb attacks simply may be unstoppable. Commanders also are worried that recent violence, including the bombing in the Green Zone and challenges by the radical cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, may be a death blow to political progress.
This is really the Iraqi leadership's major and potential last opportunity to really take this ball forward.
Defense Secretary Robert Gates, touring the Middle East, warned that getting Iraqis to take control of their future is one of the vital benchmarks to keeping the U.S. troop surge in place.
I think that there is progress being made. I believe that faster progress can be made in the political reconciliation process in Iraq.
And while the administration continues to oppose congressional deadlines for withdrawing troops from Iraq, the secretary used the controversy in Washington to offer his own warning to the government of Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki.
What I have said is that the debate in Congress, I think, has been helpful in demonstrating to the Iraqis that American patience is limited.
Now, Admiral Fallon did go on to say that there are some positive developments. Some of the sectarian killings are down, some of the violence out west in Al Anbar province is down. But one of the key questions for U.S. commanders now is, can those deadly car bombs, which are causing so much tragedy, ever be stopped? Lou?
It's hard to imagine even limited cause for optimism if the Admiral says, as he did, that the United States is losing ground every day.
You bet, Lou. I mean, Admiral Fallon's comments, I have to tell you, caused some level of amazement here in the Pentagon as people watched that hearing unfold and heard what he had to say. He did say that he had some cause for optimism, but the bluntness of the second half of that sentence, losing ground every day, even the notion that the top commander for this war is expressing that level of concern is something that gets an awful lot of attention around here, Lou.
As it well should. Barbara, thank you very much. Barbara Starr reporting from the Pentagon. President Bush today declared our troops must have the money they need to complete their mission in Iraq. President Bush is demanding an emergency funding bill that does not set a deadline for withdrawal of our troops. Ed Henry reports from the White House. Ed, first, what is the White House saying tonight about the bleak assessment by Admiral Fallon and Secretary Gates on Iraq?
Well, Lou, you can bet if a Democrat like Speaker Pelosi had said that the U.S. is losing ground in Iraq, the White House would be throwing around charges of defeatism. But instead, White House spokeswoman Dana Perino today tried to say that what Admiral Fallon said on Capitol Hill is consistent with what the White House, what the administration in general has been saying, even though the term losing ground is never used around here at all. She also tried to turn this around a bit and tie it to that war funding fight that you noted by saying that the pressure in Iraq, the growing violence shows why the job needs to be finished. Dana Perino saying that it's time to end this stalemate over war funding. As you noted, the president hosted Democratic and Republican leaders here at the White House today to try to untie this knot, but really no progress coming from this meeting. You had Democrats like Harry Reid coming out afterwards saying that this war funding does need to be tied to benchmarks and timelines for withdrawing U.S. troops, while Republicans like John Boehner say that will not fly.
The president, with the legislation that we have, that he will soon get, does more for the military than what he sent us. We believe he must search his soul, his conscience, and find out what is the right thing for the American people. I believe signing this bill will do that.
The real issue here, and the first big issue, is whether, in fact, we're going to agree to a surrender date. And that's not going to happen.
Now, CNN has learned that the House and Senate are likely to vote on final passage for this war funding bill next Wednesday or Thursday. That would finally give the president a chance to veto it. And then we go to phase 2 of this showdown. Now, there are some senior Democrats privately saying, look, they've already made their point. It's time to move on and fund the troops, and that perhaps they should send the president a so-called clean war funding bill, that it would not have a timeline. But I can tell you there are other very senior Democrats saying no. They believe they have the president very much on the defensive now, and they believe they should be sending the president, after he vetoes the first bill, a bill with a timeline again and again. Make him veto it again and again and try to force a change in policy, Lou.
And thank you, Ed Henry, from the White House. A new CNN Opinion Research Corporation poll shows nearly 2/3 of all Americans support the Democratic point of view on the war in Iraq. The poll says 69% of voters believe the war is going badly for the United States. That is the most pessimistic view of the conduct of the war so far. And the poll says only 29% of Americans believe the U.S. reinforcements in Iraq will help the United States achieve its goals. That poll taken over the past week before today's deadly bomb attacks in Baghdad. Up next here, securing our borders. Why isn't the federal government able to hire more Border Patrol agents? We'll have that report, and still ahead, chilling new information tonight from the campus killer himself. We'll have that live report as we return for more coverage from Blacksburg, Virginia. Stay with us.
CNN special primetime coverage. Tonight beginning at 7.
What were the early signs the shooter was dangerous?
Wolf Blitzer, live from Virginia Tech. Then, Paula Zahn is live on the scene with amazing stories of survival. At 9, a special edition of Larry King Live. Later, the shooter and his possible motive. Anderson Cooper live on campus with new details. CNN's primetime coverage begins tonight, 7 Eastern.
We know why we're here. To redefine air travel for a new generation.
To ensure our forces are safer and stronger. To take the world we share to tomorrow and beyond.
Around the globe, the people of Boeing are working together to make a difference.
That's why we're here.
I signed up for car insurance on Progressive.com. I saved money, which was great, but they also have these local response vehicles. And if you're in an accident or need an estimate or whatever, a Progressive guy will come to you. And they're all over. I am a musician who's on the road a lot, so it's pretty cool that they'll come to me if my van, gets pummeled by adoring fans. Or if I hit a pole.
Progressive. Saving hundreds is just the beginning.
It came out of nowhere.
Here's a radically simple suggestion from eLoan. You can lower your rising monthly payments by consolidating your debt with a home equity loan and paying one lower monthly rate. Just call 1-800-TRY-ELOAN or go to eLoan.com. eLoan. Radically simple.
Campus massacre. Why did a student go on a deadly rampage? More questions as the investigation continues. Nancy Grace, Headline News Prime. Tonight, 8 and 10 Eastern.
Why are investors jumping to Scott Drake?
Buy 500 shares online or 5,000. It's still $7 a trade.
You bet it is.
If the governor knew the right thing to do,
He'd put jobs in the hands of Oregonians. If you're going to make a rational decision, you have to look at logic, you have to look at numbers, you have to look at the law. In fact, Oregon's Constitution guarantees that. You don't back down from principles like that.
You don't have to see it his way, but you've got to see it. Have a look into the world of Lars Larson. Weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on CNW 14.
What makes Scottrade so special?
$7 trades and the service. On the phone, in person, they're the best.
Roger that.
Latest disturbing details on the Virginia Tech killer with his sweet mate, Larry King, tonight.
We'll be going back for more coverage of the rampage at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Virginia. But first, President Bush planning to boost the size of the U.S. Border Patrol by 6,000 agents by the end of next year, and at the same time cut the number of National Guard troops deployed on our border with Mexico. But as Casey Wyan reports now, as is so often the case in the issue of border security, that is not happening.
When President Bush toured the border near Yuma, Arizona last week, he made an unusual recruiting pitch.
I know some people are wondering whether or not it makes sense to join the Border Patrol. My answer is I've gotten to know the Border Patrol. I know the people serving in this fine agency. I would strongly urge our fellow citizens to take a look at this profession.
The Border Patrol is holding job fairs nationwide.
The Border Patrol.
And running television ads to meet the president's request to hire an additional 6,000 agents by the end of 2008. But during the past 6 months, the Border Patrol has only grown by about 650 agents.
It is a very difficult job to fill, even in the best of times. The pay is low, the working conditions are very difficult, compounded by the fact that it's not the attractive job that the recruitment videos portray it to be.
Adding 6,000 agents to a 12,000-member force in 2 years would be unprecedented, and some say next to impossible. Border Patrol agent pay starts at around $40,000 a year. The job can be monotonous, agents often spending hours alone monitoring the border, but in an instant it can turn deadly. The requirements are stiff. Applicants must know Spanish and immigration law. Only 1 in 30 applicants are hired. A Government Accountability Office report last month raised concern about a shortage of veteran personnel to train the massive influx of new agents. The report also found the government spends about $188,000 to deploy each new Border Patrol agent, including recruitment, training, and equipment. At that rate, the price tag for 6,000 agents will exceed $1 billion. The Border Patrol says it remains on target to meet the president's goal and will double the number of recruits going through its academy starting this month. As a result, the National Guard, Lou, is already making plans to reduce the number of troops deployed on the southern border in a support role.
Well, that all sounds like interesting language that one might hear from a PR release. The fact is 650 agents have been hired. There are 2 pieces of legislation that require additional Border Patrol agents, and that isn't happening.
It's not happening as fast as a lot of people would like to see it happen. One of the reasons is because the Border Patrol standards are so strict, and one hopes that they're not going to lower those standards significantly to increase the number of agents. They've already increased the maximum age for a new Border Patrol recruit to 40, and the numbers haven't picked up significantly, Lou.
Casey, thank you very much. Casey Wyan. 1 person was killed, several others injured in a shootout between rival illegal alien smuggling gangs in Houston. Police say the human smugglers in 2 separate trucks exchanged gunfire along a busy highway late last night. Investigators say that shootout may have been one smuggler's attempt to hijack the other's load of illegal aliens. And more border violence. Mexican police and troops are now at the scene of a tense hostage standoff at a hospital in Tijuana, Mexico. Mexican government officials say armed men opened fire on the hospital, taking several people there hostage. The gunman apparently trying to free a prisoner being treated at the hospital, a suspected member of one of Mexico's many drug cartels. Up next here, the Supreme Court makes a ruling that could transform the national debate over abortion in this country. We'll have that report. And Congress to introduce tighter restrictions on gun ownership after the Virginia Tech shootings. The debate is underway. We'll have a special comprehensive report on what the Second Amendment really means. And we'll have the very latest for you on the gunman responsible for these shootings as we continue to learn more, seemingly by the hour, and what police are saying about critical new developments in this case. We'll be right back.
Here's what people are saying about OsteoBiflex, the #1 doctor-recommended joint care brand.
I'm 77 years old, and I work as a waitress, and if it weren't for OsteoBiflex, I just couldn't do it.
My doctor recommended I take OsteoBiflex, and it's great. It really works for me.
I'm amazed at the results I've seen from my patients taking OsteoBiflex.
OsteoBiflex has given me mobility. I wasn't getting that crunching, grinding sound in my joints.
Not only did it stop the discomfort, but it gave me full mobility again.
The glucosamine and chondroitin, as found in OsteoBiflex, actually lubricates and cushions your joints to provide free movement, mobility, and comfort. And only OsteoBiflex has Joint Shield with 5-Loxin. Taking 5-Loxin showed improvement in joint comfort within 7 days.
OsteoBiflex has given me a whole new life.
For a $3 off coupon, go to osteobiflex.com right now. OsteoBiflex is available wherever quality vitamins and supplements are sold.
CNN, the most trusted name in news.
New developments in the investigation into the shootings at Virginia Tech that left 33 people, including the gunman, dead. NBC has received correspondence, writings, and photos from Joe Shung-hee about those shootings, and those documents appear to have been mailed between the first and second attacks. The originals have been turned over to the FBI, and Joe accused of stalking 2 female students in 2005. He was sent for a psychiatric evaluation, and as CNN has learned, Joe was declared mentally ill and imminent danger to himself or others. And 14 of those wounded in the shootings remain hospitalized tonight as new details about the gunman emerge. In 2005, Joe was reported to campus police for stalking 2 female students. No charges were filed in either incident. Details regarding Joe's confinement and other on-campus issues difficult to obtain because of privacy law restrictions. FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, requires schools to have written permission from parents and patients before they release any information from a student's records. Those rights pass to the student when the student becomes 18. We're learning more now about the 32 victims of Monday's massacre. Today, more names of the victims were released. Katie Pilgrim has our report.
So many young lives that now will not be lived. Michael Polee of Flemington, New Jersey, remembered by his high school as the ultimate student athlete. The biology major was due to graduate Virginia Tech in a few weeks. Brian Blum was weeks away from finishing his master's at Virginia Tech. Lifelong Detroit Tigers fan, the Tigers and Kansas City Royals held a moment of silence for him at the Tuesday night game. 19-year-old Mary Reed, new to campus this year, families still can't comprehend how she died.
A car accident, it might be what you think is what you worry about. You don't worry about a gunman and a mass killing at a college campus in the United States. It's just kind of unfathomable.
Maxine Turner was in the fateful German class. The 22-year-old senior chemical engineering student had already accepted a job at a chemical engineering firm. Jarrett Lane was the valedictorian of his high school in Narrows, Virginia. The civil engineering student was graduating in May and had already been accepted at the University of Florida for graduate work. Students with international backgrounds. Freshman Henry Lee from Roanoke, Virginia, one of 10 children of parents who emigrated from Asia when he was a young child. A heartrending twist, many of the dead are part of a campus couple, such as teacher Christopher James Bishop, 35, was in the ill-fated German class. He was a Fulbright scholar. His love of language led him to meet his wife in Germany, who also teaches German at Virginia Tech. Jocelyn Couture-Nowak, a French instructor. Her husband is head of the Department of Horticulture at Virginia Tech. One remarkable young woman was sophomore Leslie Sherman. She was a marathon runner. She was studying history, international studies. She spent last Thanksgiving break as a volunteer in New Orleans to help continue to clean up, Lou, after Hurricane Katrina.
As we learn more about all of these victims, the loss becomes even greater. And Kitty, thank you very much, Kitty Pilgrim. The shootings at Virginia Tech have raised the politically charged issue, of course, of gun control. Virginia's governor, Tim Kaine, today said now is not the time to discuss his state's gun laws. And as Dana Bash now reports, congressional Democrats are also trying to keep quiet about gun control.
In the days after the 1999 Columbine high school shootings, Democrats were quick to demand tougher gun laws.
How many of our schools have to be desecrated by blood and bullets before the Senate and the House will act?
Congress did debate gun control then, but failed to enact new laws. Now another massacre. This time, Democrats control Congress, but they're shying away from talk of gun control.
I hope there's not a rush to do anything. We need to take a deep breath.
Console the families and the children who were affected there. That's what we're focusing on. That's all we're focusing on right now.
Democrats are reluctant to pass new gun restrictions, in part because public support for tightening gun laws has been steadily dropping. In 1990, 78% of Americans backed stricter gun laws. Now it's only 49%.
Common sense gun safety measures to
Democrats dropped gun control as a national issue after Al Gore was tagged as anti-gun in 2000 and lost big in the South and rural areas.
I'm a very strong Second Amendment guy.
Since then, Democrats won seats from North Carolina to Indiana with pro-gun candidates.
So the Democratic Party has really tried to move to the center on some issues, and certainly with a lot of rhetoric. And picking up the gun issue again, I think many Democrats feel would push them further back to the left. They don't want to go there now.
Democrat Carolyn McCarthy ran for Congress after her husband was killed in 1993 by a Long Island Railroad gunman.
So this isn't just policy. This is personal for me.
She hopes this week's shootings will help her renew restrictions on weapons, limit clips to 10 bullets in 9mm guns like the one used in Virginia. But McCarthy says even that will be tough.
I have members that come up to me and say, Carolyn, I'd like to be with you, but I can't. I didn't come here to Congress to fight gun violence. I'll lose my re-election. You know what? They probably would.
Hearings have already been scheduled on the issue of college campus safety, but several Democratic leadership sources tell CNN the chances of Congress actively pursuing new gun restrictions are slim to none. Lou?
Dana, thank you very much. Presidential candidates today not offering any further direction on their position on gun control, substantiating the position taken there on Capitol Hill as well. Thank you very much. As public support for tighter gun control declines, studies show that there is no evidence that tighter gun control laws reduce gun deaths. As Christine Romans reports now, the Second Amendment still stands.
The law of the land, these 27 words. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. But for years, gun control advocates and lawmakers have sought to restrict the Second Amendment with gun-free zones, waiting periods, firearm registration and licensing, with the view that limiting access to guns would decrease crime.
It's never been demonstrated in any conclusive way that gun control reduces crime. The rules disarm the law-abiding people, but they leave the criminals free to attack their victims who have no defense.
In fact, crime has been declining across the country, irrespective of the state gun laws, whether lenient or tough. The CDC several years ago concluded there is no proof that gun laws reduce firearm violence. In fact, some of the most violent places have the toughest gun laws. Think Washington, D.C. and its 30-year ban on handguns. The most restrictive gun laws in North America are in Mexico, where citizens are unarmed. Killer drug cartels are armed. The Virginia Tech campus is a gun-free zone. That did not stop Cho Seung-hui. But his actions inevitably are reviving the gun control debate. A Virginia congressman.
It is simply too easy to obtain a firearm.
New York's mayor.
All mayors understand that taking illegal guns off the streets has nothing to do with the Second Amendment and everything to do with law enforcement.
Intense debate over the modern meaning of a 216-year-old right.
There is a split among the courts. There's a split
among academics, but among American people. The majority of Americans believe that they have a right to arms.
An estimated 70 million Americans are gun owners. The courts most recently weighed in on gun control laws in Washington, D.C. just last month, striking down that city's 30-year-old handgun ban, ruling it unconstitutional, insisting that there is nothing ambiguous, Lou, about the Second Amendment.
And that is precisely the holding of the appellate courts. It is a very difficult issue, and the reflex is understandable. The intensifying debate, understandable, but at the same time, the failure to look at the broader violence on our college campuses, 1,100 suicides a year, 1,400 deaths from binge drinking, 70,000 rapes and sexual assaults. Where is the clarion cry there? Because there is a broad scope of violence that is being altogether ignored. Christine, thank you very much. Christine Romans. A bill, by the way, in the Virginia legislature that would have given college students and university employees the right to carry handguns on campus never made it out of committee. On Monday, the day of the shootings, House Bill 1572 was dropped during the first stage of the legislative review process in the Virginia House. Most universities in Virginia prohibit anyone other than police from possessing a firearm on campus. Up next here, the president's fast-track authority to negotiate trade deals without interference from the United States Congress expires in June. President Bush wants it renewed. Democrats in Congress aren't so sure. Will they cave? We'll have a special report. And shocking new details tonight about the Virginia Tech killer. We'll be discussing the aftermath of the massacre and what could have been done to prevent it. With three of the nation's leading authorities in sociology and psychiatry, stay with us.
This is the AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan card. You know what's great about this card? Wherever you go, nationwide, your coverage travels with you. And that's just one of the many reasons you need the card you can trust. Because with AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance, you get things like a full range of plans, the ability to apply year-round, personal health insurance advisors to help you make the best decision, and so much more. If you're turning 65 or older, or you've already enrolled in a Medicare supplement plan, call now for this free information kit and Medicare guide to help you navigate today's complex health care environment. Learn why these Medicare supplement insurance plans are the choice of millions of Americans and are exclusively endorsed by AARP, an organization that's all about life after 50. AARP Medicare supplement plans, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, help cover some of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare alone. This could save you thousands of dollars out of your own pocket. Plus, you can choose any doctor or hospital in the U.S. and apply anytime year-round. So call now. Here's what your friends and neighbors are saying about us. What a wonderful service this has been. Thank you for the excellent service provided. I love AARP healthcare options. Look, you want to do away with almost all claim forms? Like the sound of no referrals needed to see a specialist? With this card, you get all that too. Finding the right coverage can be really challenging, especially since Medicare supplement insurance is now more important than ever. That's why the legwork's been done for you. So feel great about making a smart, informed decision. And call to get your free information kit and Medicare guide. Then you'll find out more about a full range of plans, personal health insurance advisors, and coverage that travels nationwide. Yep, this is one great card.
Alex is about to collide with a motorcycle that is squarely in his blind spot. But with the world's first blind spot sensor in his all-new Volvo S80, it can see what he can't. Introducing a luxury car that protects the luxury of life.
We'll have much more on the Virginia Tech massacre in just a moment, but first, these important news developments. The Bush administration tonight is claiming a victory after the U.S. Supreme Court upheld a ban against controversial late-term abortions. In a 5-4 decision, the High Court ruled that ban does not violate a woman's constitutional right to an abortion. At least one Democrat tonight is criticizing the ruling. Senator Barbara Boxer of California says today's decision presents a serious threat to a woman's health. Congress today took up a contentious issue that has affected the country's working middle class Fast Track Trade Authority allows the president to expedite trade deals through Congress. But as Lisa Sylvester now reports, with billions of dollars in commerce and millions of jobs at stake, resistance to renewing that Fast Track Trade Authority is rising.
The imbalance is partially...
The senators all support trade with other countries. The disagreement is over the rules of trade.
Should we compete with someone in Shenzhen, China, who's working for 20 cents an hour? Should we compete with someone who's working in an unsafe plant? Should we compete with a 12-year-old working for a dime an hour?
Countries like China have more than a labor advantage. They also are bending the rules in their favor, according to several who testified before a Senate panel. Currency manipulation, tariffs to protect their home industries, government subsidies, and trade agreements that give an edge to foreign companies. One example of the unlevel playing field, a bilateral trade deal with China allows the Chinese to sell their cars in the United States with a 2.5% tariff. When Americans ship autos to China, the Chinese impose a 25% tariff.
This model has failed the U.S. national economy and the majority of its participants, workers, firms, and farmers.
But the U.S. Chamber of Commerce insists trade with China has been a good thing. It's kept prices low. The chamber is urging Congress to renew trade promotion authority that will make it easier for the White House to forge even more trade agreements.
Nationwide, our exports directly support 12 million good-paying jobs and indirectly support millions of other jobs. Imports keep inflation low and expand consumer choice and quality.
But the surge of imports over exports has fueled a massive deficit that is now a whopping 6.5% of GDP.
We are the only nation acutely in deficit on trade.
A deficit that most economists say is not sustainable. Fast Track, or Trade Promotion Authority, expires the end of June. Now, some lawmakers prefer to not renew it at all. Others, like Representative Charlie Rangel, who chairs the committee overseeing trade, have signaled a willingness to pass Trade Promotion Authority, but only if it builds in certain labor and environmental protections. Lou?
In other words, the Democrats could well be falling in line with the corporate America agenda of the Republican-led Congress of last year.
I think there are a few Democrats that you could probably put in that camp, but you do have senators like Byron Dorgan who are still holding firm, Lou.
Sherrod Brown, Jim Webb, and a host of others. Obviously, in my opinion, I hope there are a host of others for the good of working people in this country. In a setback for the president, an unexpected change of direction on the part of an influential Democratic lawmaker who now says Fast Track Trade Authority may not be renewed before it expires in June. Senator Max Baucus, the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, said environmental and labor provisions must be added. Among those provisions, stronger job creating tools for American workers. That's unspecified as to what that means. Baucus had earlier been entirely supportive of the president's receiving a renewal of Fast Track Trade Authority. Coming up here next, chilling new details tonight about the troubled life of the Virginia Tech killer. In the words of the killer himself, what insight into his motives will be joined by a panel of experts to assess what should have been done and why what could have been done was not. Stay with us.
I've been investing with Fidelity since before he was born. Well, actually, long before you were born.
Ow.
My guy knows what he's doing. We invested for our first house. We put his dad through college, and I made sure we always had enough to spoil this one. You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
Nope.
You want to go surfing, don't you? Go ahead.
No matter what kind of investor you are, Fidelity can help you make a smart move.
CNN Saturday and Sunday night, Soledad O'Brien takes you inside the mind of a killer. Massacre at Virginia Tech. CNN Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
Pacific Gallery is going out of business. We're closing our doors forever. Our inventory clearance means savings for you of over 70% on hundreds of rugs to choose from. Everything must go. So hurry to Pacific Gallery in Portland for the final days of savings.
The world's finest handmade rugs come from collections like Lapchi, Zolanvari, and Odegaard. Each piece represents the finest level of hand-woven artistry. In Portland, you can find these treasures at Madison Millinger, stunning rugs you can't see anywhere else in the Northwest. Along with the help of rug expert Christiana Millinger and interior designer Todd Jentz, Madison Millinger, Portland's own world-class rug gallery at 11th and Gleason in the Pearl.
Now I had the time of my life, and I owe it all to you.
Sandals Royal Bahamian, where a world of luxuries await, from 9 gourmet restaurants and every pleasure under the sun to the ultimate adventure, an exotic offshore island. Discover the world's most elegant way to get away. Book now, save 40%. Call your travel agent or 1-800-SANDALS.
Hey everybody, John Olson inviting you to join PD Exposed as we'll bring you more sensory treats from the beautiful Astoria-Warrenton area, including a helicopter ride you won't soon forget. We'll also bring you to a stunning hotel property located right in downtown Astoria. Catch PD Exposed every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night at 7 p.m. on CNW 14. PD Exposed is brought to you by
American Laser Centers. Go to pdexposed.com now and register for your chance to win $1,500 in laser hair removal from American Laser Centers. Feels sexy for winter. Register to win now at pdexposed.com.
Pacific Gallery is going out of business. We're closing our doors forever. Our inventory clearance means savings for you of over 70% on hundreds of rugs to choose from. Everything must go. So hurry to Pacific Gallery in Portland for the final days of savings.
Latest disturbing details on the Virginia Tech killer with his sweet mate, Larry King, tonight.
The Virginia Tech killer mailed a package to NBC containing writings, photographs, and videos. The network saying the package appears to have been mailed between the first and the second attacks. Mary Snow has the report for us. Mary?
Well, Lou, NBC just airing contents of that package, some disturbing findings in there that include videotapes taken by the Virginia Tech gunman and some very chilling photographs. This is one of about 29 photos, 11 of them showing him pictured with guns. He has rambling messages on this videotape, some of the quotes saying, "I did it, I had to, the time came, I did it." It is not clear when that was recorded. NBC says it received the package today, but there was a timestamp on it of 9:01 a.m. on Monday morning. It was sent overnight mail, and that is what led NBC to say that this was sent between the two shootings at Virginia Tech on Monday. The address to NBC was incorrect, and that is why NBC just received it today. It has handed the material over to the FBI and is still being analyzed. Some very disturbing contents in that package. Lou?
Mary, thank you very much, Mary Snow. And we are going to be examining the meaning of this, both in terms of the psychology of an obscenely disturbed mind and a society trying to grapple with the answers. Coming up here next, the top of the hour will be the Situation with Wolf Blitzer as he continues our coverage. Wolf?
We're going to follow up on all of this, Lou. Also, we have new details of the killer's past. Were there clues foreshadowing the tragedy that was unleashed here on the campus? And grief-stricken parents sharing memories of their children. We have special interviews tonight that may move all of you to tears. All that coming up. We're live here on the campus of Virginia Tech, Lou. Much more coverage coming up at the top of the hour.
Wolf, thank you. There are many unanswered questions, of course, about Joe Chung-hee's motives and his background. We're joined now by Professor Richard Aron, Professor of Sociology Education at New York University, Professor Catherine Newman, Professor of Sociology at Princeton's Woodrow Wilson School of Public and International Affairs, author of the book Rampage, and Dr. Paul Reagan, Associate Professor of Psychiatry at Vanderbilt University. Professor Reagan, I want to turn to you first. Those pictures, we have been talking here on this broadcast about this man's state of mind. The fact that he would bother to send those images to a television outlet, what does that tell you?
Actually, I think we shouldn't be too surprised because he certainly had a flair for the dramatic insofar as these plays that he wrote, and he was intelligent, and he figured out an even larger, more dramatic impact to make. And I think it just shows that someone can have a psychosis, be very paranoid, and yet plan something like this.
To plan something like this, but it also suggests, does it not, that among our worst fears is that the media had a strong influence in this man's troubled psyche.
Well, I think he used the media as far as trying to, and certainly he seemed like he was a lot more verbal on those videos than he ever was in his class or with his roommates. But I wouldn't implicate the media at this point.
Well, I'm not implicating them. I'm simply saying that taking the time between murdering 32 people, murdering 2, and then murdering 30 others and committing suicide, for him to take the time to do this, it would seem that it had a strong presence in his psyche.
Well, absolutely, and he clearly knew that this would hit the television station after his death, so he knew he was going to have an effect, continued effect even after his death.
Professor Newman, I want to turn to another, the tragedies within this tragedy continue to mount. We now learn that this young man had been forced to go into a mental institution, diagnosed as being a danger to himself or others, and nothing happened. What in the world is going on?
My understanding is that he was diagnosed as someone who is mentally ill but not dangerous to himself and others, and that's why it didn't trigger some of the consequences that might otherwise have come through.
Well, actually, he was diagnosed as mentally ill and in need of hospitalization and presents an imminent danger to self or others as a result of mental illness. It was unequivocal.
I received a different set of quotations, so I'm not sure what we know, but I do want to comment on this videotape he sent, because it's completely consistent with everything I learned from my research on school shootings. Look at that image.
And wrote about in the book Rampage.
This is someone who is trying to follow a script that's not from the news media, it's from the Kung Fu video, it's from the sort of Rambo-style image, and that's what he found alluring, and that's what he was trying to invoke as an image of himself, which is totally different from the way everyone around him at Virginia Tech described him.
This contradiction and the obvious collision between this man's mind and the reality is overwhelming. And Professor Aram spoke to this very issue last night here on this broadcast, and we're going to ask you to wait just patiently. We're going to take one quick break. We're going to be right back with our panel, and we'll hear from Professor Aram on what is facing this country, all of us, this society. Stay with us.
I've been investing with Fidelity since before he was born. Well, actually, long before you were born.
Ow.
My guy knows what he's doing. We invested for our first house. We put his dad through college, and I made sure we always had enough to spoil this one. You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
Nope.
You want to go surfing, don't you?
No matter what kind of investor you are, Fidelity can help you make a smart move.
Blue sky smiling at me, nothing but blue sky.
Today, there's a fuel that, when paired with advanced diesel engines, will help reduce truck emissions by 90%. And that means bluer skies and cleaner air for all of us. Introducing new ultra-low sulfur diesel. From the people who bring you oil and natural gas. Learn more at energytomorrow.org.
What do you know about computers?
My daughter definitely knows how to use a computer better than I do half the time, and she's 3.5.
Hi, I'm John Scherer, CEO and founder of Video Professor. I've been hearing comments like that for over 18 years now. Listen to this.
I did the Excel, and it was a lot of fun.
Really?
I had a real good time. I learned a lot.
The difference, just 1 hour with one of my CDs, and they're easy to use. The CD plays like a video on your computer screen. Just follow the step-by-step instructions. And if you call right now, I'll send you any lesson of your choice free. The reason I can do this is because I know that once you try my product, you'll come back to us for all your computer learning needs. If you can't learn for any reason, I'll not only refund your shipping and processing, but I'll send you $10. So learn a new skill in less than an hour. Try my product.
I think that's the most fun I've had learning something about the computer.
To get your free computer learning CD, you must call now. Call 1-800-701-3063.
We're back with our panel, and Professor Aram, this image right here of Joe acting out is precisely what you're talking about in terms of what's happening with this young man's mind, so many other troubled young minds in this country.
Yeah, indeed, that's the case. We have 3 to 4 million young children in this society that are currently taking Ritalin and related drugs. We have a widespread behavior problem with young boys in our society. And that is coupled with the schools being not given the authority to deal appropriately with these children.
You're talking about stronger discipline in our schools from the early onset. You're talking about the need for socialization and parents.
Socialization comes out of effective discipline that's perceived as fair and that can be internalized by students. That's not necessarily stronger discipline. Zero tolerance policies can have counterproductive effects.
Professor Reagan, your thoughts? We've got about a minute left.
Well, I think that discipline would not have addressed what is probably this young man's descent into a psychotic state of mind. He referred to himself
Professor, I'm sorry, we're gonna